From a nondescript basement in the heart of Idaho, two inexperienced, unqualified, and completely lacking guys decided to start a podcast. Out of the depths of their twisted, immature minds spawned what is now the Adulting is Hard, the Ken and Kyle podcast. Be warned, advice is terrible, humor is borderline insane, and the topics are irrelevant. Proceed at your own risk.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. This is the Adulting is Hard, the Ken and Kyle podcast. Episode 2, being brought to you from a nondescript basement in the center of Idaho. We're still in Idaho, right?
Idaho.
Okay.
We want to thank you for the tens of thousands who tuned in last time.
Actually, we had a big turnout, so we want to thank everybody for that. We did get a lot of feedback.
We did.
We do appreciate all that. We took it into consideration. In the future, we might not, because honestly, I don't really care that much what other people think. Because
we just become divas.
I mean, the fame's kind of getting to me already. I don't know about you, but
to let everyone know, you'll notice in the comparison from this episode to the last one, we have added to the production budget. We put in $30.
Yeah, so we went from $1 to $31. But I got to tell you, that's all we had. That's all we had. And it was my guess. It was my guess. So I am now stuck here in his basement.
Yep.
So I might have to wait 2 weeks, or you can hit us up on Venmo and, save me a couple bucks. Give me some gas money to get back home.
The link will be in the description. And like I said, if you're feeling generous or feel pity and want to help us, we will up the value of the production to $60 on the next one, which means new sound effects. Maybe. And possibly.
Or we just buy more booze.
Booze, or a new poster for the wall or something like that. But again, Venmo description will be in the or the link will be in the description.
Yeah.
And
then also remember, you can still hit us up on Twitter and Facebook. Just go to Twitter or Facebook. We're both the same there. @IsAdulting. Twitter or Facebook. Go there right now. I will give you a second. Go there right now and hit that like, hit that subscribe, follow us. We are also now. Where are we now?
Now we're on SoundCloud. We're on YouTube.
Boom.
And we're also on Spotify.
We are on Spotify. So go ahead.
Any other podcasts available through your iPhone service, Android, whatever it may be, you will be able to locate us.
Yeah, so we were doing the breakdown of the last episode, and it turns out a lot of people are listening to this on their phone, on the drive. So we expanded out. So we are now on Spotify. A lot of people have Spotify. I know I've been a Spotify subscriber for a long time.
3 times in the last few months. So
doesn't it say you're in Europe right now or something like that?
I think I'm in the Czech Republic.
Oh, Czech Republic.
So
even better.
Doing a lot of Czech
so you're not coming home. I mean, coronavirus and all that shit.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Obviously.
No travel.
But so Spotify, I know it's really saturated with a lot of Adulting is Hard stuff. So if you search us on Spotify, I'll put the link down there so you can click on it and it'll get to you. But look for that little symbol with the skeleton, Adulting is Hard podcast. It'll have the standard one. You'll see it on Facebook.
True real podcast that's out there. The other ones, not hating.
Posers.
Bit fake, bit posing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're really willing to admit that we upped our production budget, and we're worldwide. I mean, look who we are. So if we get one viewer or one listener from across the pond, we're worldwide.
Well, in my mind, we already are.
International audience. As soon as we hit Canada, really.
Wow. Well, in my mind, we're already famous.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Then again, we know how my mind works.
Then also,
not exactly.
We may suffer from some type of form of egotistical narcissism.
Jury's still out on that one. I'm not.
Some dementia, some substance abuse disorders, some mental health disorders. Overall, we do want to thank all the people who did tune in. When I say tens of thousands, I believe it was. I don't care. I think the numbers are skewed. They don't want to let us know the true amount of people who tuned in.
Because they're saying we're getting too big too fast.
Exactly. That's the thing. And the dominating of the airwaves there will be people who will try to stop us, and those people will just get
can't stop this rolling rock.
You can't stop this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So tonight, guys, just want to give you a little a breakdown of what's going on tonight. So tonight is going to be our first true crime podcast, and we got a really good one coming for you.
Strange case.
Very strange. I'd heard about this a little while ago, and it's really peculiar. With the circumstances really strange, and the evidence is really scarce. Completely unsolved. Nobody knows what it is, but there's a lot of good theories out there. We'll go through all of that.
But the best theories will be what we give you at the end.
Oh, yeah. Our opinion is the only thing that matters.
Exactly.
Obviously.
We'll remain as objective as we can, but we will tell you probably what happened.
All right.
Like if we were there.
So you ready?
I am ready, actually. Are you ready? Are the folks ready?
I believe so.
I hear some yeses. Okay.
I believe so. We're in pretty soundproof.
Get ready for this, because this is going to take you to places you've never been.
Oh, God.
Like LSD down the rabbit hole. No, maybe not. But if you're on LSD and you're listening to this, thank you.
And if you want Venmo, send me some. I'll get some too.
And we will be able to spend some of our production budget on hallucinogenics.
I mean, production value, right?
Production value is all this is about, right?
All right. Let's dive in.
Outstanding.
On today's Adulting is Hard True Crime podcast, we are going to explore the bizarre and strange unsolved murder of Roland T. Owen at the Hotel President in 1935. This case is the most baffling unsolved murder in Kansas City, and with every passing day, the likelihood of discovering what actually happened in room 1046 dwindles. Infamous horror films such as Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho and Stanley Kubrick's The Shining have given hotels a whole new meaning by becoming an eerie setting for murders. These films show killings of guests in a hotel that can turn a man into a maniac within months. Frightening enough, the real-life unsolved murder of a man who claimed to be named Roland T. Owen seemed as if it was something straight out of a horror movie. He checked in as Roland T. Owen. That wasn't his real name, but that was only the beginning of the mystery. All right, yeah, guys, so this is it's a really strange crime. If you've ever looked into it, if you've ever heard of it, it used to be kind of famous. A lot of people talked about it or whatnot. There's very little evidence that's established on this, and the investigation didn't turn up too much. But let's go over the timeline. You want to hear the timeline?
Okay, well, let's start with the beginning. So who are we talking about?
All right. So in Kansas City on January 2nd in 1935, a guy shows up and he calls himself Roland T. Owen.
Roland T. Owen.
Roland T. Owen.
All right.
That's what he signs the guest book as at the President Hotel in Kansas City, and he requests a room that has a facing windows towards the inside of the hotel, not towards the street. He specifically asked for this room.
Okay.
Really strange. And he also did not want to be on ground floor. He wanted to be several floors up. And then when they asked for an address, he gave them a Los Angeles address, which is not too uncommon with traveling people and such.
True. Okay.
Yeah. And then, but when he paid, he only paid for a single night.
Okay.
And again, they don't find that too strange.
Not back then.
No,
back then it was
even now.
A couple dollars, and thank you for the evening. I need a room.
Exactly.
Specifically in the middle of the say the 6th floor, away from the windows. Hallway base, basically, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
And the staff remember him showing up, being well dressed, and he spoke very, very uptight. Well, not uptight, but he's very articulate.
Okay.
But he didn't show up with any bags with him.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, maybe he was on a business trip. He was just stopping by for whatever thing. The staff also said that he had a large scar on the side of his face that was above his ear and his temple. In addition, he also had a cauliflower ear. Like a fighter does. Like if you look at boxers, they have that cauliflower ear.
You see that now with guys who do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, any kind of UFC type stuff. Cauliflower ears is pretty common in that. Okay.
Right. And so they figured, he was a boxer or maybe a promoter, a former boxer, and
wrestler,
back then. Something like that. But he was also in his 20s. Okay. So he was pretty young for that. Anyway, so Randolph Probst, he was a bellhop at the Hotel President. Accompanied Owen up the elevator to the 10th floor, which is where they gave him the room that he requested. So during this time that they were traveling up there, Owen told Probst that he had previously stayed at the nearby Malbach Hotel, but was upset because they charged him $5 extra for the room that he was requesting.
Okay.
So Probst ended up, he didn't pay attention. It was just a normal guest for him.
He's like, you're cheap ass, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not even going to tip because I'm not carrying any of your bags.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're upset about a $5 upcharge. Yeah. Well, there's no tip for me. I'm carrying all your bags. Whatever.
Like, no bags.
No bag. Yeah, he's got nothing. He's just showing him his room.
25-cent elevator fucking rent. Okay.
Cheap bastard. Mm-hmm. So he took him up to the 10th floor and gave him room 1046.
All right.
The room was interior, as I said. It was facing the hotel's courtyard and not the street outside. The only thing that Owen had was a hairbrush, a comb, and toothpaste and a toothbrush from the inside of his jacket.
You know who that reminds me of real quick? The character Jack Reacher, remember? From the Lee Child books. Only carries a foldable toothbrush.
Yeah, but he's more of a badass. This guy.
Well, yeah, exactly. But
he didn't check in under aliases.
True.
At hotels.
Okay.
So when they got to the room, he started unpacking things from his coat.
Okay.
And so Probst showed him around the room, showed him everything that was there: the bed, the nightstands, the bathroom, the closet, all that stuff.
Common sense things. Here's your bed.
Right. So after he showed him, they both went back down to the lobby. And then Probst handed over the key to the room. At that point, Owen left the hotel. Didn't say where he was going, just kind of left.
So, okay, so he goes out the front door.
Yep, and takes off. A short time later, Mary Soptic, who was a hotel maid at the time, she arrived for her afternoon shift. She entered the room, 1046, and was kind of baffled when she entered the room. Owen was there.
So she didn't know that the room had been rented. She went to go clean it as if it had been unoccupied from the day before.
Right, exactly. Okay. Because
they usually don't show there was the same there was and then clean it within hours.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because the last person in the room was a woman. So she was expecting a woman, if anybody, to be there.
Okay.
So Mary, when she entered the room and he was there, she apologized and she went to leave, but Owen's like, stop, no, you can come in, you can clean.
Okay, so back up. So he had left the facility, the hotel. She comes on the shift. Nobody sees him re-enter.
Correct.
And we know at the time the elevators are manned or operated by a person.
Back in the time, all the elevators they had the
nobody sees this guy come back. He's on the 10th floor.
Yeah.
And she enters the room to clean it, and there he is.
Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, maybe not, because back in the time,
maybe they didn't see him come back, but like I said, elevator operators are. Yeah. That's the only way they work. So this guy just goes out and comes back. Spider-Man's up the outside wall. What?
Who knows?
It's like a judgment for superpowers.
But let's stick to what we do know. Okay. So when she did enter the room, as I said, he was there. She went to leave, and he said, no, go ahead and clean the room. So as she was cleaning the room, she noticed that he had drawn the shades, and the room was dark, except for he had one side lamp on the side of the bed.
Okay.
And a little lamp on. And she would actually, when the police had questioned her later on after the crime, she had stated that Owen seemed a little worried or afraid of something. He had that timidness about him, and he was sitting in the dark. That's weird.
In the afternoon, right?
In the middle of the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah. She got on her shift in the middle of the afternoon.
All right.
So after she's cleaning, or while she's cleaning, Owen ended up getting up from his bed, and he put his coat on, brushed his hair, and then he left. But before he left, he asked Mary to leave the door unlocked. He asked her that because he said that he was expecting friends to arrive shortly. So Mary, not thinking much of it, did just that. She cleaned the room, she left, and left the door unlocked.
Okay, and remember, so back then doors were locked from the outside of the hotels.
Yes, they were not locked from the inside. So that's why you had to ask her to leave the door unlocked.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right. So Mary leaves, and at 4 p.m., she returns to the room. And she returns to the room because she's got some towels for the room. And when she comes back into the room, Owen is there again, fully clothed, laying on the bed in the dark. No lights on. The only light was the light from the hallway when she opened the door, illuminating the room. That's how she was able to see Owen.
Okay.
And there was also a note sitting sitting on the bedside table. And the note, as she recalls, said, "Dawn, I will be back in 15 minutes. Wait."
Okay. So she was able to, so she approached the bed with this guy laying it and saw this on the nightstand table?
Yes.
With no lights on, though?
Yeah. Completely dark in the room.
And she was able
at
to read
4
it?
o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the light from the room illuminated, and she was able to see the note on it.
I mean,
Whatever it was.
Okay.
Okay, so the next day, which is January 3rd, 1935, Mary Soptic, the same maid, returns to the room at about 10:30.
Okay.
She notes that the door was locked, so Mary presumed that Owen was not present, given that the room can only lock from the outside, as we had said.
Okay.
However, when she entered the room using her own key, Owen was again in the room, sitting in the dark just as he was the day before. The phone rang, and she remembers Owen answering it, and in a very soft and kind of monotone voice, answered, "No, Dawn, I don't want to eat. I am not hungry. I just had breakfast. No, I am not hungry." Then, while he still has the phone in his hand, Owen just starts conversating about Mary and asking about her job.
Okay.
So we can only presume that the other caller is still on the line. On the line, either listening or doing something in the background, and he's waiting for a reply.
Okay.
Whatever. And so he kind of continues this small talk until she left. She cleans and then she leaves.
Okay.
So we can presume it's got to be at least 10, 15 minutes. And he's just making small talk. He's got a phone in his hand, and he's sitting in the dark.
And this is into a second day of occupancy at this hotel.
Yes.
Right, so we've gone into the second day now.
Gone into the second
and
day.
Basically, what you see is he's fully dressed, sitting, laying in bed, shades drawn, takes a phone call, tells somebody he's not hungry, doesn't want to eat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody named Dawn.
All right.
Yes. So Mary leaves, and then she comes again at 4 p.m. Because remember, that was the morning the first time she came for this day. This is the first time she came for the day. So she comes later on the day at 4 o'clock with more fresh towels, because that's what the hotel maids do. They bring fresh linens every single day.
Yes.
So she enters room 1046 again, and she can hear two men talking. Or before she enters, she knocks.
Okay, so before she enters,
she hears two male voices talking in the room. Mary was able to describe the voice that answered, asking who it was. So she knocked, and somebody answered, "Who is it?" But the voice was not Owen. She knows Owen's voice because she had conversated with him. She knows it's not him, so she knows there's a second person in the room.
Okay.
And so Mary responded, I have fresh towels." And she remembers the voice then replying, "We don't need any."
Okay, just like that. We don't need
we don't need any.
Okay.
But Mary knew that there was no towels because she's the one who cleans that room, and she had brought out old towels, and so she knows there are no towels in that room. So 2 hours later, a lady named Jean Owen, no relation,
Okay.
checked into the hotel and was given the room next to him, 1048.
Okay.
Jean's boyfriend joined her in the room at 9:20 p.m. and ended up staying for 2 hours.
Okay, and this is verified by front desk, gentlemen operating the elevator, things like that. Okay,
yes,
so
it does
to this. Okay.
Yes, so it does end up getting verified later on.
So
she ends up calling the police and saying that two men and a woman's voice are being very loud and very profane down the hall.
Okay.
She assumes that it's the next door, which would be 1046, the one that's,
Mr.
that
Roland T. Owen is in. No relation to...
No relation.
Okay.
Jean was not the only person to note the loud disturbances, though. Elevator operator Charles Blotcher,
here we go. This is the guy.
Who began his shift at midnight, reported that he was fairly busy until about 1:30 in the morning. He stayed in most of the hotel, then became settled and quiet, like a normal night. except for a party that was being thrown in room 1055. He remembers this.
Okay, so that's in room 1055, still 10th floor, but some down from 1046 where Mr. Owens is, and then the one next door where no relation to Mrs. Owens is.
Yes.
So on the same floor.
Same floor.
Okay.
So Blotcher that night recalled that one person had rode the elevator with him, a woman who he believed to be a prostitute because he had previously seen her in the hotel before, visiting single males in their hotel rooms for a short amount of times and then leaving.
Okay.
So she requested to go to the 10th floor, and so Blotcher, being the elevator operator, took her to the 10th floor.
Non-judgmental operator.
She's a hoe. We're not looking into that.
I'm not judging.
Not judging, but she's a prostitute.
You got to make her grind.
That's right? What it is.
All right, so he takes her up 10th floor.
So he takes her up to the 10th floor, and then he goes on with his job. Only a few minutes later, Blotcher receives the buzzer, whatever it was, the call, the elevator call to go back to the 10th floor. He rides back up to the 10th floor. The woman he had just dropped off is standing at the door. And she was kind of standing there bewildered, like looking like really confused, right? And she goes, my client wasn't in room 1046, which is where she was trying to go.
She says, my client.
Yeah.
Use that term, says it was not in.
Well, I don't know if she had said that.
Or the person
I was supposed to meet
was not in
room 1046.
Which is now occupied by
Roland T. Owen.
T. Owens, okay.
Right. And she was certain that was the number that he had gave when he called her.
Okay.
So she wondered maybe he had meant room 1024, since she can see through the room's door window and the light was on. And so after a little bit of conversation, she decided she would stay there and kind of wait it out for a few minutes and see if he came back.
Okay, so she stays on the 10th floor.
She stays on the 10th floor.
Dude goes back down the elevator.
Dude goes back down the elevator.
Wastes his time.
Waste of time.
He's paid by the hour,
whatever.
Okay, whatever.
But a half hour later, he again receives the elevator summon for the 10th floor. So he goes back up. And it was the same woman waiting there. So she asked for a ride back down in the lobby. He gave her right back down in the lobby. And an hour after that, the woman again appeared in the lobby, this time with a different person. And Blotcher then took them both up to the 9th floor.
Male or female? Does it say?
Doesn't say. We presume it's a man, but doesn't say that. We don't say. That's always
okay. So she came back with somebody.
Yeah, she came back with somebody.
Okay.
And then at 4:15 a.m., Blotcher once again gave her a ride back down to the lobby. So she was there.
How many hours away? So she came back?
It's looking about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours.
Okay. So she goes back with another person in her party. We don't know male or female, but presumably
goes back up to the 9th floor, a floor below where the previous one was, and then she leaves alone. More evidence towards she's probably a prostitute in the middle of the night.
Yeah. But 10th floor is hopping at this place.
Right.
Right, so far.
But, let this be noted, that it's still undetermined to this day if the elevator rides actually related to what happened in room 1046, as Owen may or may not have been in the hotel at those times. We don't know. There was nobody
to... He had this tendency to slip out, pop back in.
So there was nobody there to confirm that he was actually there.
Right. Even though they had a complaint of the loud noise from that room.
And so there was a speculative story that might not have been it. That he might not have been at the hotel at the time. Because at 11 o'clock, a city worker by the name of Robert Lane reported he had seen a man dressed in only an undershirt, pants, and shoes run into his path because he was driving down the street, ran into his path to flag him down.
Okay.
So Lane stopped. And the man ended up apologizing because he actually thought he was a taxi driver.
So he was trying to flag a cab.
Right, he thought he was flagging a cab.
Gotcha.
So Lane said, that's all right. And then he asked, well, can you give me a ride anyways? And Lane said, all right, I'll do it. So he had asked to be taken to somewhere that taxis do give rides. So he took him over to this little intersection that is known for where taxis go and park, and there's a deli. Yeah, they wait for fares. Yeah, because there's like a deli or a shop or whatever, and they go and they get coffee and eat. So when he was driving, he remembers when he was talking with this guy that he had, as he had said, had in it bad. He was in it bad.
Okay.
So it looked like he was in trouble. You know, he was wearing an undershirt. It's the middle of the night. He's wearing an undershirt.
Like he got whooped up on, been heavily intoxicated.
It doesn't really say.
Okay, that's what.
But he was, he just was having a bad night.
Okay,
I guess.
So he got the sense of this guy's night went to shit.
Right. Okay. But Owen ended up saying during that cab ride that he was going to kill somebody tomorrow. He had mentioned, there's a man that I am going to kill tomorrow.
Okay, so what does
maybe
he
was in frustration?
As Owen? Is this just based on that?
No, he doesn't know if this is Owen or not. This is
the description that the city worker gave. Of this man, and they're assuming that this is Owen at 11 o'clock at night, which puts him 2 hours away from the appearance of the prostitute.
Right.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Right. So the reason that he had thought that it was Owen is because he had said that he had the scratch, the scar.
Oh, he identified him by the
scar on the side of his face, above his ear, and that he had the cauliflower ear. So that's why they think, okay, this was Owen. So when he had got into the cab, he also noticed that Owen had a scratch on his arm, and he was kind of cradling his arm, and kind of had his other hand like cupped over his arm as if like trying to contain blood, like an injury, something like that.
Okay, so more than a scratch, and if he's trying to say stop bleeding.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So Lane drives him, and he leaves him at the intersection of 12th Street and Troost Avenue, where Owen gets out, and he finds another cab, and he leaves.
Presumably Owen.
Right. And then after the death of Owen, later on in the story, we'll get to it, Lane goes to the morgue and identifies him as the man he had given the ride to.
Okay, so now he's dropped him off at a place where he can locate a cab.
Yes.
And he's in bad shape. Been cut, possibly had a rough one.
Middle of the night.
Some kind of physical altercation with somebody. Right. Okay.
Exactly. So, moving on to the next day, January 4th.
Okay. So now we're in day 3.
Day 3 of this whole...
So day 3 is since he's checked into the president.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So, on the morning at 7 a.m. on January 4th, a switchboard operator named Della Ferguson started her shift. Because back then, you want to make a phone call, you pick up the phone, the switchboard operator picks up and asks, who would you like to call? And she patches you through. But the whole time that they can see the lights on the board, they know who's talking to who, they got the little... the wires that they plug in.
Yeah, they're all snitches back then. I mean, it's like
so Roland T. Owen the day prior had requested a wake up call. So when she gets on shift, she sees that he needs a wake up call. Well, room 1046 needs a wake up call. Goes to make the call, but notices that the light on the switchboard says that the phone's off the hook.
Okay, all right.
So she calls down to the front desk, and Probst, the bellhop from before, who had shown him the room originally.
So he's back on shift.
He's back on. I assume he works. Yeah. Well, this is 2 days later.
That's true. So he's back on shift. Okay.
So they send him up to go talk to Owen to hang up the phone. When he got to the room, there was a do not disturb sign that was hanging from the doorknob. So Probst goes ahead and he knocks, and he knocks loud. Many times, doesn't get any answer. And then finally, a voice answers telling him, hey, come on in. So he goes to open the door, but the door's locked. So he knocks again, and the voice goes, hey, turn on the lights. But the door's locked.
But he's still outside.
He's still outside. The door's locked. He can't get in. So Probst just leans to the door and shouts, hang up the phone. And then goes back down to the lobby. So when he gets back down to the lobby, Probst calls the switchboard operator and tells him that the guest in room 1046 was most likely just drunk, and to wait another hour and then give him another try, give him another call.
Okay.
So at 8:30 a.m., Ferguson, the operator, noted that the phone still had not been hung up. So another bellhop by the name of Harold Pike was sent up to go find out what was going on. He goes up, and the do not disturb sign was still hanging from the doorknob, and the doorknob was still locked, but Pike actually had a key on him. And so he went into the room. When Pike goes into the room, he sees Owen laying on the bed naked in the dark again, apparently drunk. He claims that he looked like he was drunk.
Okay.
Pike also noticed dark spots on the bed that were being illuminated by the hall light. Because again, there's no light in there, so when he opens the door, just the light from the hallway.
Light. I'm just going to say that so far we've had a maid who's able to read a note next to him, and he sees dark spots on the bed. Not to discredit what they're saying, but I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky I can get an 80-watt bulb now. Right? And with
right? It's still not that
bright. Bright shit going on in there. Okay, so he's butt naked, laid out.
Right. So he goes into the room, doesn't turn on the light, but all he does is he goes right up to the bedstand, picks up the phone, and hangs it up, turns around, walks out the door, and leaves.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So after that, at 10:30, another switchboard operator notes that, hey, the phone is back off the hook once again. So Probst, the first bellhop, is sent again up to the room. The do not disturb sign was still hanging from the doorknob. Probst grabbed his key before he went up there because he figured that the door still might be locked, so he's got to let himself in.
Like the first time where he couldn't get in.
Right.
Okay.
So again, he knocks and doesn't receive any reply. So he puts his key in and he enters the room. He sees Owen on his knees and elbows with blood covering his head. So Probst turns on the light and noticed blood all over the walls of both the main room and the bathroom, as well as on the bed. Probst goes downstairs, freaks out, goes downstairs to get some help, and then he comes back up with the assistant manager.
Okay.
So when they get into the room, Owen had managed to get himself up and sit on the edge of the bathtub. So when they enter, he's just kind of slumped over, sitting on the edge of the bathtub.
Now back up real quick. What was the time frame between the last bellhop who entered the room, hung up the phone, and when Probst entered? What were we talking about? It was
about an hour and a half.
About an hour and a half. So we had an hour and a half window that he was butt naked in bed.
And again, took the phone off the hook.
Apparently drunk, but then took the phone off the hook.
Right.
So no one's identified whether or not when they entered this room there was somebody else in the room.
Right. The first time.
The first time. I mean, when he went in there, an hour and a half before they found him bleeding, they don't know if somebody else was in this room. He just went in, tried not to look at his dick, put the phone on the hook, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I was like, I don't really care.
Looking at it.
I don't really care what's going on here, but I don't want to have any part of it.
I don't want to know, but I salute. All right.
Yeah, I salute.
I don't know. Okay.
So the assistant manager decided to call the police, who end up bringing along Dr. Harold Flanders from the Kansas City General Hospital.
Okay.
So when they examined Owen, it had been discovered that Owen was bound with cord that had been wrapped around his neck, his wrists, and his ankles. His neck had further bruising, suggesting that somebody had been attempting to strangle him. It looked like strangle marks. He also had stab wounds found just above his chest, like where his heart is on his chest, and one of the wounds had actually punctured his lungs.
Okay, wait. So this is at the time. So he's sitting on the side of the bathtub.
Right.
Management calls the police. They call a physician in.
Right.
Now, is he bound at this time, or they found that he was?
He was bound.
So
he is no longer bound.
So did he unbind himself? Is that what
we will get to? We don't know, because we'll get to that. That's going to to the evidence.
He was found naked, is laying in bed, is gone to being bound and beaten, stabbed, apparently. Choked to being able to manage to get himself up to the side of the bathroom.
Right. And he also had a fracture in his skull that was a result of repeated blows to the head with a blunt force object.
Okay, now they've made note of this at the time that they examined him.
That they examined when the doctor first gets there, yes.
Oh wow, okay.
Right.
Damn good doctor.
Yeah, I mean nowadays,
I get a bump on the head and I got to get a fucking MRI.
What the hell did you do? Well, I drank 4 bottles of whiskey last night. I
fell off a roof.
I don't think that has anything to do with it.
I was trying to grind a skateboard down the side of the house. 45. Don't judge me. But.
No judgment here. No judgment here.
Okay.
So when they as the police are examining, they also found blood spatter on the ceiling of the room.
So that shows the impact, the what do they call it? The velocity of the wound, blunt force. Anybody's watched the CSI, so we all know blood splatter goes and carries with the. It's called physics, bitch. Right.
Not always real life, but physics.
Just physics. Science.
Just physics.
Okay. So this is beaten, stabbed, tied, whatever, right? Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I said, they found the blood spatter on the ceiling of the room. So the police asked him, "Hey, who did this to you?" Owen said, "Nobody." They're like,
okay.
The
He's
hell?
Not snitching.
I ain't snitching. Snitches get stitches. You know how it is. So
now, my question is, did anybody witness him being bound this way, or just that he had the
marks,
wounds, and the marks of
he had the marks on it. Yeah.
Bound. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
So Owen, after further questioning, said that he actually sustained the injuries from falling and hitting his head on the side of the bathtub. Owen rejected the notion when questioned that he was trying to kill himself or that somebody else was trying to kill him. So at this point, they put him in an ambulance and they transported him to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, he went unconscious and he never regained consciousness and ended up dying in the hospital just after midnight.
All right. Okay. So now we're at the point.
So that's the timeline of this, of the whole crime that had happened.
So he's been stabbed, beaten, bound, right? Blunt force trauma, but denies that he was
blood pretty much everywhere. Right. Says he wasn't trying to kill himself.
Evidence shows that
says nobody was trying to kill him, and stated he had just slipped and fell out and hit his head on the bathtub. Doesn't explain any of the other marks. Doesn't explain the stab wounds. Doesn't explain.
Criminologist here, but I'm just going to say blood doesn't travel that way. But okay, so he denies any assault or any assailant.
Yes.
Okay.
Denies any outside influence.
Dies on the way to the hospital, or goes to the hospital.
Goes to the hospital, dies. Yeah.
Dies. Okay.
Dies, slips in a coma, and dies.
Okay.
For the most part. So the Kansas City Police Department begin their investigation. And the very first thing they do is they go and they detain Jean Owen, the woman from next door.
Okay.
In was it room 1048?
Okay. Based on
her last name and being next door to him.
Fair enough.
But then she gave her statement on what she had heard from that night, and then they brought in the boyfriend to corroborate her story and say, yeah, I was there. I heard all this stuff.
Boyfriend. Just asking.
Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. So they do. So they have to release her.
Okay.
So the city ends up doing an autopsy on her and reveals that, does an autopsy on Owen and reveals that he did die from his wounds.
Okay. From the stab wounds, from everything in general.
Right.
Gotcha.
So Dr. Flanders is the one who performs this and notes that the blood stains in the room were caused by the attack that had happened on Owen.
Okay.
It seems like common sense, but you have to be able to evidentiary match those two. You have to say that those blood stains came from
the blood splatter, the directional spray, all that stuff that goes with it.
He also determined that the attack happened between 4 and 5 a.m. So it happened early that morning. So he had actually been in that room before even the first person came to check on him about 7:30-ish. So he had been like that for at least 2 hours.
Okay.
Minimum of 2 hours.
If we go back, we're looking at 11 o'clock the evening before was the time that the bellhop came up to put the phone back on the hook, correct? About 11 o'clock, I thought we said? Or was
no. That was at about 7:30. That's what I'm saying. Before the first person came into that room, he had been like that for 2 hours.
Okay. But the previous time he was seen, he was just butt naked in the bed with the phone off the hook.
Yes.
So this is where I'm thinking that somebody else was in that room at the time.
I mean, that's the only other explanation for this.
That's one thing. Okay, so all right.
There's no way that he could have done this to himself. And we're going to get into why that's possible. So, detectives decide to go back up to the room and they start their investigation. They're looking for evidence. But what's strange is not the evidence that they found, it's what they did not find. The detectives noticed the absence of any clothing. There was nothing in this room. No clothing whatsoever. The only evidence that they were actually able to find, besides what Owen had brought himself, that was noted by the bellhop, was a necktie tag. So a little price tag of a necktie that had been purchased.
Okay.
And it was indicated that on the tag that it was sold by a New Jersey company.
Okay.
Whether that means anything or not, who knows? Also missing from the room were all the towels that the maid had brought in, as well as soap and shampoo. All those were missing from the room.
Okay.
There were also no knives in the room that were found. So that also dismissed the idea that he was committing suicide, because if he'd done that,
because
the knife
weapon,
would obviously the knife would have been there.
From whatever weapon, that weapon would still be there.
Correct.
So the towels used to be cleaned up, whatever, all that stuff was taken out at some time.
And the cords, which some cord had been wrapped around them, there was nothing in the room. No cords whatsoever were found in that room. So there was somebody in there who had bound them and then taken the cords with them when they left.
So they didn't use any like evidently the lamp cords or anything in the room. They brought their own material.
Because there would have been blood on the lamp cords or whatever had they.
So they brought those.
Had they used them.
And then took that evidence with them, or took all their tools of the trade with them.
Yes.
Okay.
So there were 2 glasses that were provided in the room. They found one where it was supposed to be. The other one was broken in the sink.
Okay.
It was just in the sink in the bathroom, broken. Detectives also found other items that might have been linked to the crime, like a hairpin, a safety pin, an unsmoked cigarette, and a full bottle of diluted sulfuric acid. Whether or not these items were there before Owen got there or after, they don't know.
That is an odd grouping of things. Especially
you can get away with like a hairpin and a safety pin.
Acid.
But a full bottle of sulfuric acid being in there, you would think that a maid going in there to clean it would be like,
well, even if
this isn't provided by the hotel.
If it was brought by the other, if it was brought by the assailant, it's meant to deform and torture somebody. I mean, that's something that's brought in. You're already binding and beating on somebody. Maybe this person was interrupted. What I'm saying is that sulfuric acid is brought in usually with the intention to deform the looks of somebody or to cause them, like a torturous pain. That's different.
Right. And the very last thing that they found on the list were 4 fingerprints. But they were small fingerprints. So the detectives figured that they were from a woman.
Okay.
But they weren't able to match the fingerprints to anybody who belonged to the hotel. They weren't able to match it to any of the other guests or to Owen himself. So that eliminated anybody from inside of that hotel.
Fair enough.
So whoever was in there with him was long gone.
Yeah.
So the police, really baffled by this, decide they're going to go to the media. So they need information on anybody who would have known Owen, because they don't know who this guy is. They only know that he checked in by the name of Roland T. Owen. Mm-hmm. So they decided to go with the newspaper and provide all this information to the newspaper in hopes that somebody would come to them and say, oh, yeah, I know this guy.
And back then, they would actually take a picture of the body, the face, just the face.
Yes, and they would put it in. Put the paper. They put it and say, hey, do you recognize this person?
Exactly. Now we use the old
with the description,
the shitty DMV photos that we have to identify victims. But back then, they actually took a picture of this guy. Okay, so they put him in the picture or into the Kansas City paper.
Right.
Right. Okay.
So they end up not getting any bites on this whatsoever. So led them to believe that Roland T. Owen is probably not his name,
or from that area.
Or from that area.
Or from that area.
Somebody
right?
would notice
okay.
it. So they're thinking he's definitely out of town and he's using an alias.
Okay.
So the police contacted the Los Angeles Police Department because he gave that Los Angeles address downstairs when he registered.
Yes.
They called the police department, and they got back to him saying there's nobody in Los Angeles County by the name of Roland T. Owen, nor is there anybody who would be related to anybody named Roland T. Owen. So they contacted the Owens, said, no, we don't know anybody. We're not related.
No guy.
Nobody.
Okay.
So they sent their fingerprints over to the FBI, and because the FBI was so brand new at this, they were actually called the Justice Department's Bureau of Investigation back there before it was the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Prior to organized crime and then
to try to find a match in their database, and they came back with zilch.
Okay.
But I mean, then again, this is back in the 30s. How good are their fingerprinting? How good is their
then
database?
also, you look at a wall of
they didn't have
drawers of
computers, so
thousands
they're
of
matching
fingerprints,
them.
So you had somebody who sat there with the small magnifying
Exactly. They
glass
didn't have
looking
computers to
for
do this for them.
points
They're
of it,
doing physical. They're
So
doing it
every
physical.
time you mentioned that they sent these fingerprints off, it wasn't like they called the next day and said nobody in Los Angeles County matches this man. It was months later probably that they said, "Hey, we did what we could, our due diligence, and we can't locate anybody of next of kin or this person, Roland T. Owen, in LA County."
Correct.
So months later, and then they asked the FBI, same again. So we're talking cold case over a period of time.
Yes.
Already.
So a few days after running that newspaper clip or the newspaper article, a woman calls the hotel president and asks what Roland T. Owen looks like. She told the desk that Owen she recognizes him, and he actually lives in Clinton, a town about 50 miles southeast of Kansas City.
Okay.
So on January 6th, the newspapers began running the story of Owen and the murder inside of 1046, asking for help on anybody who could identify
outside
him.
the Kansas City area, though, the main city.
Yes.
To basically across statewide, we'll say, right?
Yes.
So major newspapers and such.
Right. So after they ran all this after they ran this ad,
not really an ad, it's more of a.
Well, after they ran this article, they got tons and tons and tons of tips.
Okay.
And they followed up with every single one of them, and they pretty much all led to a dead end. So, but the one tip that they did get was with Lane, the guy who had given him a ride that night, who flagged him down thinking he was a taxi.
The city worker.
That's when he came forward and said, "I think I know this guy." They took him to the morgue, and he said, "Yes, that is the guy I gave a ride to."
Okay. So that's got pretty good. Now they got him IDing
that he was outside of the hotel at that time.
Yeah.
At that time, like
cut up, fucked up,
beat up, yeah.
Okay.
And thinking that somebody was after him and saying, "Oh, I'm going to get this guy tomorrow. I'm going to kill this guy."
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
So he survived an assault and was talking about, "I'm going to kill a man tomorrow."
Right.
All right.
They were also able to come across the other place that we stayed in, the other hotel, the Malbach Hotel.
Okay.
They gave him a call. They gave them a call and tried to figure it out. And they figured out that he did check in there, but they didn't have a record of Roland T. Owen. He had actually given the name Eugene K. Scott, but also gave a Los Angeles address.
Same Los Angeles address. So
I don't know if it was the same or a different one, but it was from Los Angeles.
Gotcha.
So back in the time, traveling that far,
exactly.
2 people in Kansas City at the same time from Los Angeles, that far away, because traveling is difficult back in that
fairly
time.
Uncommon, I would say.
Fairly uncommon.
Yeah.
Right.
And the guy, as Roland T. Owen had mentioned earlier, that he chose the president because you said the fees at the
Malbach Hotel. $5 too expensive.
Were
back then, $5 is expensive.
A lot of money, yeah.
It's a lot of money. So again, the police department followed up with Los Angeles Police Department and said, "Hey, do you know this guy, Eugene K. Scott?" And they got back to him and said, "Nope, nobody here by that name."
All right, so 2 aliases, not linked or with no origin to LA.
Yes.
Okay.
But a valid Los Angeles address.
Okay.
But nobody by that name there.
Right.
So obviously these are aliases. Yeah. Neither one of these are his true name. So police then believe they caught a break when a man identified Owen as his cousin. But this was actually quickly debunked when the man's sister confirmed that the cousin actually had died 5 years prior, although the resemblance looked striking. They looked exactly alike. But she said, "No, my cousin actually died 5 years ago. This can't be him."
So this man physically approached Kansas City police officers?
Well, he went to him, whether it was a call or showed up.
You're saying the resemblance. This guy approached and said, "I'm the cousin of..."
Yeah. He showed up and said, "That guy's my cousin. I know who he is. That's my cousin."
Okay.
And then they followed up with the family, and the sister's like, "No, the cousin died 5 years ago. But he does look exactly like him."
Well, that's
why
maybe
the brother didn't actually know that the cousin was dead.
Well, that's weird, though.
Broken family.
Yeah,
weird.
Well, but still strange.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another false lead that had popped up was when a wrestling promoter actually came forward to say that Owen had approached him asking him to take part in some wrestling matches. So the promoter had said that he had referred him to an outside promoter out of Omaha, Nebraska, but that promoter did not recognize Owen at all. So within a few weeks, the story died out, and as new homicides ended up taking over and took precedence, new ones, that one kind of faded into obscurity and became a cold case.
All right.
All right. So media coverage also dwindled around it because nothing happened. Media gets bored, so they move on with new stories.
Absolutely.
So the case actually returned to the newspaper. So it goes by 2 more months. On March 3rd, it returns to the newspaper when the funeral home that was holding the body announced it would be burying the body in the city's Potter's Field the next day.
Okay.
That same day they run the article, the funeral home receives a call from a man who asked that they delay the funeral so he could send the funeral home some money for a grave and a service at Memorial Park Cemetery in Kansas City. So that the dead man could be near his sister.
No shit. Okay.
Yes. When the caller was asked why Owen was killed, he responded that Owen had an affair with one woman while engaged to another.
Okay. Here we go.
The caller admitted that he and the 2 women arranged the encounter at the hotel president to take the revenge. He stated, cheaters usually get what's coming to them, and hung up.
So the man who calls to pay for is under the name of Owens.
We'll go by Owen. Yeah.
We'll go by Owen. So the man who calls up and is willing to pay for his funeral, to give him proper burial near his sister in Kansas City, right? Also admits to conspiring with the 2 other females involved in his death.
Yes.
Okay.
And says he was basically cheating, and that's why they killed him.
And he got what he deserved, but I'm willing to pay for his funeral.
Because we feel bad, out of guilt, whatever it may be.
Right. Okay.
So the funeral home decided they were going to honor the request, and on March 23rd, they received a delivery of an envelope that contained $25 wrapped in newspaper, which was enough to cover the cost. 2 additional envelopes with $5 each were sent to local florists for an arrangement of 13 American Beauty roses to be placed on the grave, followed by a phone call that was much like that first phone call. Both calls were found to be made from payphones, untraceable payphones. Included with the money was a handwritten card reading, "Love Forever, Luis." The funeral was then held, with the only people in attendance being police officers. Police also staked out the gravesite for the next few days, but nobody ended up coming to visit.
Instead of doing that to see if, maybe like you said, a guilt-ridden...
The guy who had called and give the money was going to stop by.
So somebody ordered 2 baker dozens of American
Beauty roses.
Roses. That sounds pretty specific. As to either he liked those or that's something that somebody...
It was symbolic. It might have been symbolic to the relationship.
This person, Louise, liked those.
Yeah.
Right? And this was knowledge between the 2. So we're still looking at this person as Owen.
Yes.
Right? Someone's called, paid for his funeral.
Yes.
All right. And then...
All right. So after the funeral, another call was placed to the Kansas City Journal-Post to inform them that their earlier story that the dead man was buried in a pauper's grave, which is an interesting choice of words, was false, and that he had been given a proper burial, and that they could call the funeral home and flower shop to confirm. When asked of her identity, she replied, "Never mind, I know what I'm talking about." When she was pressed further, she added, "He got into a jam," and immediately hung up.
Okay. So now let's go back, and we're looking at, the 30s culture, in a way. So somebody want to make sure that, respectively, the person was known not to be in a potter's grave, which is usually like, say you die in a prison, nobody claims your body,
right?
And you get stuck in an unmarked grave, basically out back.
Yeah.
And so since somebody, a male, who identified himself as being involved with the 2 females who conspired to murder this man,
yes,
in a sense, paid for the funeral, the roses, and then made sure he had a proper burial. And then, like I said, culturally, and at that time, the respects was this person called to make sure that the newspaper had it correct. He wasn't just in an unmarked potter's grave.
Yes.
That he had gotten a proper burial.
Correct.
And then ended it with, he got in a jam.
Yep. And hung up.
So that could be one of the two females that was involved in this
Yes, very likely.
love triangle.
Whatever it may
Maury
be.
Povich, Jerry Springer, shit gone sideways.
Reality TV.
TV of the 30s gone sideways. Okay, so
It was a fucked up version of The Bachelor.
It really is, yeah. He did not pick the right one.
You didn't give the right American Beauty rose to the person.
This rose is for you, and he got shanked. That's what happened. Okay, so...
All right. So images of Owen were actually still being circulated nationwide in an attempt to get a solid ID on him.
So nothing on nationwide with this. So is that like...
Yeah.
Okay.
So the story is into hitting the wire, and other people pick it up, and magazines and newspapers start printing it. So a friend of a lady named Ruby Ogletree in Birmingham, Alabama, showed her an issue of the American Weekly that featured an article about the case. The man looked just like her son, Artemis, who the family had not even seen since he left to hitchhike to California in 1934, although he did keep in contact. Ruby called the Kansas City Police Department and was able to provide enough information about the body, including a description of the scar he had on the side of his face, which she explained was the result of a childhood accident in which some hot grease had spilled on him.
Okay,
Makes sense.
that's
Pretty solid so far.
Yeah.
Pretty solid so far.
Very, very specific there.
So, although her positive ID answered the question of who he was, Ruby's account also raised more questions. She claims to have received letters from Artemis after his murder. The first letter, postmarked after the date of his death, was from Chicago and was typed even though Artemis didn't know how to type. It was also written with slang words and in a different format than Artemis was even known to speak in. She then received a letter in May of 1935 from Artemis saying he was going to Europe, and another letter said he was leaving that day. Both letters were postmarked from New York.
Okay, so he's so we got family traced back to Alabama, right? His death in Kansas City.
Right.
Letters after his death coming from Chicago, so we're still kind of in the Midwest area.
Right.
Okay, and then another one stating that he's going to Europe, but they were sent from New York.
Well, New York had cruises that would go out there.
Right, but the letters were postmarked out of New York.
Yes.
With statements that he was in Chicago. Right.
No, he had sent 3 letters in total. One was from Chicago. The next one, or the next 2, were from New York.
Okay, and this is where
so the first one from New York saying, "Hey, I'm going to Europe,"
gotcha.
And the second one says, "Hey, I leave tomorrow for Europe."
Wow, just like that. Okay, so
just like that, yeah.
Okay.
So in August,
and these are all within a year of after his death, right?
This is within months.
Months, okay.
Just months after his death. So in August of that year, 1935, Ruby receives a phone call from a man in Memphis, Tennessee. This man claimed that Artemis had actually saved his life during a fight. He also claimed that Artemis moved to Cairo, Egypt, and had settled down and married a wealthy woman. He said Artemis was unable to write because he had lost his thumb in the fight where he had saved the guy who was calling. Ruby spoke with the caller for about an hour and said the man talked wildly and irrationally, but seemed to have first-hand knowledge of Artemis. Ruby provided the police with the caller's name, but it was never made public to this day. We don't know who it was that called him.
I wonder why they want to make that public. So this guy says that prior to going to Europe, or just prior to his death in the years, that Artemis, now we know him as Artemis,
right,
saved this man's life in a fight, but in the process lost his thumb.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so he lost his thumb prior to his death, lost his thumb. That's why he couldn't write or do whatever.
Right.
Okay,
which would lend credence to why things were typed, because it's somebody else doing it. So somebody else, so he's basically dictating these letters to his mom, so the other person's writing it. So they're going to write it in a different language, so they can type it.
Roland T. Owen,
right,
never spoke of him missing a limb or a thumb.
True. The hotel staff never said, "Oh, yeah, he was missing a thumb."
No one said that of all things he had a scar and no thumb.
True. Yeah, exactly.
Right? And back then, I mean, you put your thumb away like this, and we notice that now. So someone, I think, at the time would have noticed that the man had no thumb.
Yeah. So if Artemis had actually, at some point before his death, gone to Egypt or anywhere else overseas, he had not done so under his own name.
Okay.
So he had used an alias yet again, if he did. No steamship company at the time had any record that he had traveled with them. The U.S. consulate in Cairo was also contacted, but was unable to find any evidence that he had been there.
Okay, under that name though.
Under any of those,
Or
any of the
any
names
of the
that
aliases.
any of the
Which
aliases.
I just still think is kind of strange that months after his death, people are writing and saying, or and impersonating him, saying, "I'm on my way to Cairo," of all places and stuff, when his death has already been confirmed, or is it just to take the track or the scent off of this death? Because, like I said, no one identified this man as not having a thumb.
Yeah.
So I would say that takes away any credibility of the man who says that at some time in a fight. He lost a thumb in a battle or a fight with,
you would think that's something that you would notice pretty quickly if somebody doesn't have a thumb. That's just something you notice.
Especially if it's their dominant hand and you ask them to sign the registrar
at
the hotel and the man has no thumb.
Right. He also didn't say really how he lost his finger.
Right. He didn't say like a ninja came out of nowhere, off. Indiana Jones style, bit it off in an old school bar fight or what?
Who knows?
So
we don't know how.
Completely random. Somebody who spoke irrationally or under the influence.
But he had firsthand knowledge of him.
That's what I mean.
So it's like the guy Lane who was able to describe Owen to a T and identify him. Yeah, that's the guy I gave a ride to.
Right.
So I mean, he had firsthand knowledge. So all these facts end up really weird, and so this case ended up remaining unsolved. No, this case has never been solved, and that's as much evidence as we have.
And what I'm saying is the man Artemis. Even Roland T. Owen, who's in that bed dead at that hotel.
Yeah.
And his Artemis was at the time, was he actually traveling in Cairo in Europe and died of other things at the time, right? And they never knew. I mean, there's just a dozen ways this can go. Like I said, for a random phone call that you speak to somebody for an hour and they speak irrationally and wildly, as she described, says that he lost his thumb. That's really something that you recognize back then. There was a lot of work in prosthetics and, right? I mean, you see my hands. I'm going around with no thumb.
Thummy McNub thumbs.
Nubby McNub, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that. And why did the coroner's report identifies as having a large scar, cauliflower ears, and missing a thumb?
Yeah. Well, with that, let's jump into some theories.
All right.
So I was able to find some pretty good theories online. So the first one we have here is in 1937, the New York police actually arrested a man named Joseph Martin on a murder charge after he had killed a man he had roomed with and put the body in a trunk to be shipped to Memphis. Among his several aliases he was using was Donald Kelso. According to the New Yorker, the Kansas City police had matched samples of his writing to that in the letters written to Ruby Ogletree. Although no charges were filed against the man for the murder of Artemis Ogletree, the case remained open. Through the years, no evidence was uncovered and the case became cold. So that was kind of the...
So they get this guy for bagging a body and putting it in the trunk to Memphis. And then for some reason they decided to... Somewhere, one of the detectives goes, I got this case out of Kansas City. So somewhere...
And they were able to match his handwriting to the letters that were sent
I'm just curious as to how... I mean, that's a hell of a stretch back then. That's even a hell of a stretch.
I don't even know how you make that connection.
Between apartments now, where somebody goes, that kind of looks like a letter I saw from this weird case I had in Kansas City back in the day. So that's kind of... To me,
they were thinking maybe it could be connected. Maybe he knew something about this. Maybe he was he was the man from Memphis that had called the mom. Because that's how he would know the mom.
There you go, to throw off the...
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's weird, but no charges were filed against him.
Right? No charges were filed
for that, but he was charged with the other...
He was charged with murder, absolutely.
With the body in the trunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting away when you're... I don't think you're getting away with having a body in the trunk. They're like, you're probably good.
Yeah, I didn't do the other one either.
I was holding it for a friend.
Yeah. You know what you do for your friends. Yeah,
so the second theory we got here is there's a local historian named John Horner. He actually received a call from a person out of state that had said they were going through the personal items of an elderly person who had just passed and had discovered newspaper clippings about the case as well as an item that was identified by newspaper stories. However, the caller did not identify himself or the item he had on it.
Okay, so when was this call made?
This was just a few years ago. Actually, this is probably about 10 years ago.
Okay, so
I'm not sure.
This is decades after the initial
many years ago, yes.
Says he was going through some items of an elderly family member.
Right.
Found some items that made link back to either Owens, Ogletree, whatever this may be.
Right.
But wouldn't state on the phone what the item was.
Yes.
Okay, that's just weird. Because
Could be a lead, could just be somebody fucking around, and
or that person who made that statement please is a liar. The historian. You get what I mean?
I doubt it's a horse. I would tend to believe that the historian's telling the truth. It's just the caller. You know, did the caller really have that stuff? He did. Why didn't he turn it in?
So
Why
how
didn't he
about this, though?
identify
This was just
himself?
years ago. They would know where that call originated from.
Yeah.
With the technology, they would have showed up at that person's doorstep and said, "You made a call. We'd like to see the items."
Maybe. Unless it was a
I've
black
seen enough
hole.
CSI episodes. I know how it works. I'm just
And we
telling
all
you
know
right
CSI's real life.
Forensic Files. I've seen them all. I know
Physics.
how it works.
Physics,
Physics, bitch. Science. But right, I mean, think about it though. If this was just years ago, right? And
Yes.
and there's no statutory limit on murders, so somebody would have picked up that up as a cold case. Said, "Here's my new lead." A call comes out of another location saying, "I have items maybe linked to that." They would have figured out where that, or tried their best.
They would have followed it through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna my BS meter's going off on that one there.
Call him bullshit.
I'm calling bullshit on
Call him bullshit. Hit the
that.
bullshit
Call
button.
bullshit. I need an alarm here. It just goes. It makes a.
That was easy. The little Staples button.
Staples button. Yeah, that was easy. Bullshit. I'm gonna call bullshit on this.
Check this out. This is something else that I had found on Reddit. Going through Reddit, it's this pretty interesting thing.
The most toxic
So
community.
maybe,
on the internet.
it's all real. Anything that's on Reddit's real.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right.
But there was a good little thing that came up. Is that the name of Roland T. Owen might make sense if you think about Artemis's nickname. He went by Artie. The initials for Roland T. Owen are RTO. RT.
No,
Artie.
that's a stretch.
Ogletree.
Yeah. Stretch. That's a stretch. Sorry.
Maybe.
That's a stretch.
That would just explain why he chose that alias. Artie O. Artie O. Artie is his nickname.
Artemis
O being Ogletree.
Roland T. Owen. I'm not gonna call bullshit, but that's a stretch. Okay, they want to call bullshit on. I think the historian was just trying to get some hype for his local whatever. He probably has a museum of weird shit going on down there, right?
Who knows?
Who knows? Okay,
it's Reddit.
It's Reddit.
You'll lose your life on Reddit.
Right. We haven't gotten into the point where I think that article about shoving potatoes up your ass that are frozen came from Reddit.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure the people who were on Reddit
did
are
it.
the ones who.
That's what I'm
absolutely.
saying. So you can't the things that come from Reddit.
So here's another really good theory that I found that's definitely plausible. A love triangle, as we had said earlier. So Dawn and Louise, from the notes that were found as well as the overheard conversation, those are the two names. The theory goes that Artie was seeing a wealthy mobster's wife. Whether he was aware of the fact or not that she was married to a mobster, we don't know. Artie and the woman end up running off together and explored the world, including Egypt, including Europe.
Okay, so they traveled.
Correct. Using the wife's money. So they end up falling in love and they want to get married. So she ends up telling him that she's married to this mobster guy. So Artie decides to make contact with this mobster guy to kind of, proceed along like, hey, we're going to run off together and, I just want to do whatever. I don't know why the dumbass would do that. So they call the husband and they make an arrangement to meet in Hotel President. And this would explain Artie saying that he wanted to have an inward-facing hotel for security instead of outwards. That way people walking through, or whatever. You have more security, more people walking by.
And refuse lunch with them or whatever.
Right. And possible witnesses. If you have people walking by, that's a deterrent. So Don, which is also commonly used for the name of a mobster.
For
Don Corleone kind of thing.
But not just any mobster. So here's my issue with
that.
The head of it. And usually the only people who call somebody the Don are people who are made or are part of the organization.
Yeah.
So your outside civilian type person isn't going to have even the given the pass to call somebody Don.
Right.
Okay, because Don Corleone, the Don title is like your king, your whatever. That's what the made men and that's what the people in the organization call, without using somebody's real name, is Don. Right.
Yeah.
That's the Don. So I got a little issue with.
Well, there's a part 2 of this theory. Okay. We'll get into it. It relates to what you had just said.
Okay.
But to continue on with this one, Don, the mobster that he had referred to, had no intention of going easy on this guy. At the show up, Don goes there and he basically kills Artie for what he's done. And Artie doesn't want to snitch on a mobster. You don't snitch on a mobster, so he basically says he fell in the bathtub and hit his
But
head.
he was dumb enough to cheat with the mobster's wife.
But he would never tell the
talk to him
police
on the
about
phone
that.
and want an in-person meeting.
Yeah, but he ain't gonna snitch on him.
Okay, I mean, but not looking for protection after just having his ass beat, strangled, and stabbed.
Right.
Which most mobsters aren't that inefficient at the time. Back then, they were
no, not unless he wants to torture him and say,
it's
this is for
acid, maybe that that's
this is for screwing my wife.
I said the jealousy part of it is maybe it's a good-looking man bear looking into the dawn.
Mm-hmm.
The sulfuric acid was to disform or disfigure him.
True.
In the end, and say, "I will let you live." But now you look like the Toxic Avenger from the movie I'm talking about, like the janitor with a fucked up, like mixed toxic face or whatever, and now you're ugly for life.
Toxic face.
Well, the mixed, I'm talking about Toxic Avenger. Sometimes, okay, but get what I'm saying? That's where the sulfuric acid comes into. That's what that's for.
Another theory that's closely related, as I said, we're going to get to that, is that it involves it still involves mobsters, but it involves Don's lower made men, in that he was basically sent. So one of these men were named Biondo. Don would actually be Don Cheech, aka Frank Scalise, head of the Gambino family, who had ties to Kansas City.
Okay.
So at the time, Biondo, one of his men, was married to Louise Volpe. There's where Louise comes in. And both Biondo and Louise were frequent world travelers. They were known to always go to Europe, go to Asia, and all these different places.
All right.
It is also worth note that at the time of his murder, the Kansas City massacre trial was wrapping up, so Artie may have been involved with the mafia as a witness or as a member. So he could have been in the mafia.
That's more plausible. That's more plausible.
Yes.
My bullshit meter doesn't go off on that.
Yeah.
Just with the made man on the books, the Kansas City. Now, the Kansas City massacre, we're not talking Valentine's Day massacre. We're talking something different, correct?
Yeah, Kansas City massacre.
Okay, so
some other crime that had happened involving the mafia, and they think he was a state-turned witness, or he was just a passerby witness who had seen this.
Involved in a way, any simple
which would make sense because he's got to stay in Kansas City, but he has to use an alias because he's not going to use his real name.
Right.
Check into it.
Okay, that is more plausible.
Yeah.
I can lean more towards that.
Right.
Not the other ones that we had, but that's pretty plausible. Just like you said, the name, the coincidence. It's not a coincidence for his wife to be named Louise. You get what I'm saying? And out of guilt, she paid. She called, made sure that he got the respect of a proper burial. You get what I mean? Because back, a lot of times back then, mob guys would shoot you through the back of the head, through the face, so you can't have an open casket. I mean, it was a different set of rules.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, there's a lot of questions to that one too.
Maybe that's it. He wasn't involved, wasn't a made man, wasn't in the mob. He was just a guy who thought that he can get away with someone else's wife.
Yeah.
And it happened to be, this guy happened to be a made man in the mob at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So another theory here is that Artie was actually a prostitute himself.
I was leaning towards that. I'm thinking that guy's a hustler back then.
And
they call him a hustler.
And he actually shared the same pimp as the prostitute that was earlier seen in the hotel.
Right, looking for 1024 or 1048 or whatever it was.
Whatever she had gotten.
Right.
1046 is where Artie was staying. Yeah. But maybe she had gotten confused or whatever. She had gone to meet Artie because they were going to do a double job. Who knows?
Right.
Whatever it may be. So it would also explain him visiting other hotels under different names.
Right. He's working the area. He's now getting marked as a hustler.
And back then, it was one of the ways that a homeless teenager can make some money.
True. Like you said, maybe so he comes from Alabama to the big city of Kansas.
Because remember, at the time, people go back and forth on how old he really was, but he was either 17 or 19, or the two ages. He was young. He was a very young guy.
Yeah. So
even though the staff thought he was in his 20s, he was actually much younger than that.
He comes from a small town in Alabama, possibly
Birmingham.
Yeah. Birmingham, which at the time I would say small in the 30s, now much bigger, but then goes to the big city again.
And it would also lead credence to why he was in the street in the middle of the night when Lane ran into him in the street when he was flagged.
Maybe
it makes sense why he was dressed so.
Meeting with somebody and it went wrong.
Yeah, very true.
Right. And but see, the Los Angeles tie-in is, back then a lot of people went to L.A. Still, even in the 30s and in the early 40s.
And remember, he was also found in his room in the dark, naked.
True.
So there's that
robbery,
too.
Whatever it could have been. I mean, there's no.
Or he was seeing people in his room. Well, when they had seen him the first couple of days, he was, in the dark, naked.
True.
So
in between
he was waiting to meet Dawn. Maybe Dawn was a client of his.
Yeah. So there's two pretty solid ones. The love triangle with Made Man's wife, and then a love triangle. Maybe he hustled a woman and because some of it sounds like not very well done through. Like they stab this guy, they tie him up, they untie him, they take all this stuff with him, and he's still left alive.
Yeah.
Okay, mob's not really known for that. They're more for that you get found in multiple landfills, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There could be a hole in that.
Right. So I'm thinking maybe...
Especially if it's a witness.
Yeah, or then there's the angry husband who's never really committed a crime like this before, is taking all this out on him, and then towards the end of it is going, okay, I may have gone a little far on this one, and boogies. Yeah. But the message has been sent. Don't see my wife again. You get it. So I'm in some credence to a couple of those right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last one here.
All right.
So witnesses had actually claimed that they had seen a man and a woman leaving the hotel on the night of the murder. Not just leaving, they were kind of in a rush to get out of the hotel. And because of that, it is also theorized that the couple in the hurry were actually the brother and the sister who had called the funeral home. And the man who had called the funeral home, and that was his sister, was the one who Owen had cheated on. And those two had shown up to the hotel to murder him and were leaving the hotel.
So Owen was in a relationship with the sister.
Yes.
Broke her heart. Brother protects the sister. They go there.
Yes.
Maybe they go to meet with them, talk with them, whatever, go sideways. All kinds of bad shit.
Because remember, witnesses said that they had heard two men and a woman arguing in that room, and they found female fingerprints in that room.
There you go. That might be the most solid one. They went there with maybe not the intentions of committing homicide.
Right. And remember that the caller had also said that Owen was engaged to his sister and that cheaters usually get what's coming to them.
There you go.
As well as the mysterious Louise that sent flowers and money for the funeral. Ties that theory kind of all together in a nice little bow.
Pretty good, actually.
Don may have paid for Artie to be buried next to his sister, the one Artie was engaged to, and a guilt-ridden Louise sent flowers.
For somebody who's never committed a crime, maybe in their entire life.
So, did these two siblings of the dead sister actually take the revenge on Artie for cheating on him?
There you go.
So the dead sister was the one that Artie cheated on him, and it was the siblings of that sister who showed up to kill him.
That could be. And so we're talking crime of passion. Emotionally based, emotionally motivated crime. That would explain not the completion of the act, of the binding, the stabbing, the sulfuric acid. I mean, all that stuff going with it. Like I said, at the time, the mob was pretty savage. They go there with a mission, they complete it. These people may have started something that they weren't willing to complete. And
more like hesitation.
Yeah,
they decided again they wanted to send a message,
unwrap
but they were not willing to go to the extent where they kill him right then and there. He just happened to die from the injuries.
And if you were to look nowadays at, say forensic autopsies and stuff like that, you can see the depths of the wounds. Were they hesitant wounds? Were they with emotion, fully deep? I mean, so we don't know.
Right.
But again, that could be more it right there. And so they called and said, you know what? We want to make sure he gets a proper burial, things like that. Who are you? Doesn't matter. You get what you deserve. Click.
Yep. Although many facts have been established during this case, many questions remain. Why was Artemis Ogletree using different false names to check into hotels? What was he doing in Kansas City? Who was Louise? Who paid for his funeral? Who really wrote those letters to Ruby Ogletree? Who killed Artemis Ogletree? And what really happened in room 1046? Maybe one day evidence will come to light, but for now, the case will remain unsolved. made it this far into our podcast, let me be the first to congratulate you. You probably have a million other things you could be doing or listening to besides us, but for some reason you thought it was a good idea to keep going, and good on you for that. Honestly, we have no idea what we're doing half the time, but that's the fun, isn't it? I do have a question for you, though. Are you even following us on Twitter or Facebook yet? If not, why not? Do you even have a good reason? I highly doubt it. You already made it this far, so you kind of painted yourself into a corner already. Do yourself a favor. Head on over to Facebook and Twitter and hit that follow or like button. It's really easy, I swear. Much easier than adulting. You can find us on both by searching @isadulting. Don't feel like doing that? That's cool. How about a different platform then? We're also on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, and your mom's playlist. Hate us? Love us? Want to tell us how we're doing? Recommendations for future content? Anything of the sort? Then just shoot us an email at podcast.adultingishard@gmail.com. That's podcast.adultingishard@gmail.com. Can't promise we'll read the email, or even care, frankly, but at least you know how to contact us now. But seriously, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Alright guys, welcome back from the break. Hope you enjoyed our first true crime segment that we've ever done. We're going to do more in the future, but give us some feedback. Let us know what you thought. Tell us some of your theories. If you have any other theories outside of what we had.
Absolutely.
If you had read anything, if just listening to that, something else popped up in your mind or whatever, yeah, just shoot us an email, or, you got our Twitter and our Facebook. Head on over there and you can send us over there too.
Even ideas for maybe other cases we ever heard of, and we could always take a look at them. No guarantee that we'll do them. But out of the tens of thousands of listeners out there, somebody reach out to us, let us know.
I mean, somebody's got to have a good idea,
somebody's
right?
Got to be listening.
We
right?
can't be the only people with good ideas
exactly.
here.
I mean, come on. We can't corner this market on great
All right.
ideas.
Well, now that we're through the true crime, we're gonna get back into our normal routine here and hit some of the fun topics now.
The fuckery.
The fuckery begins. Now we can have some fun.
There we go.
All right. But we just want to start real quick with some breaking news you probably already know.
Exactly. Breaking news. You already know, I'm sure. So
well, the first one, obviously, is the coronavirus. We're not going to hit too much on this because it's flooded Facebook. It's flooded Twitter. I was on there earlier, and every single post, 9 out of 10 posts are all about coronavirus, whether it's making fun of it or people freaked out, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just happening right now, so we really don't need to tell you too much.
Basically, everything fun has been canceled.
Yeah.
All concerts,
if it was fun, canceled. Cancel culture's here.
Yeah,
it's real. CDC is straight up cancel culture.
Yeah, they are, actually. And they've shut down everything.
Concerts, sports,
travel.
NCAA's gone.
Basically saying
the tournament, March Madness.
Yep, stay home, stay in the basement like us.
And what's really disappointing is you and I, Ken, we're going to go to the draft next month. Hopefully that's still on. They haven't delayed that yet. But we did get invited to go to the NFL draft this year, which would be awesome. It's being held in Vegas, which makes me really skeptical about going. But if it's still going, we're going.
I am just surprised they have not canceled that of all things yet. So, right. And I'm thinking the influence is Vegas itself.
Yeah, right? Vegas is still going. Think about how do they clean those slot machines? Do they have people watching the slot machine as soon as they get up? They're just wiping it down and shit?
I'm wondering if anybody's been to Vegas that's listening to this recently, let us know. Is there like a crew of people with buckets and rags or disinfectant and waiting until someone's done and just go by and wiping down machines?
Gallons of hand sanitizer.
Yeah, their money is made that way.
Or instead of AC, they're pumping in like sterilization gas or something.
So nobody got babies or
sterilizing everything, not people. Well, people, but
that wouldn't be a bad idea at some point. But we're just wondering.
We're not going to touch them.
Hopefully, we still get to go there. So like we said, breaking news. You already know coronavirus is basically running rampant. We saw it today, actually, here in Idaho. They announced the first confirmed case, and then
we're up to 4 now.
4 now,
as of
the day.
A few hours ago.
And just at the grocery stores, it was chaos. At the ones that you had gone to.
Yeah, we went to Winco today. We went to Grocery Outlet, Albertson. I have a picture on my phone of the empty shelves.
Yeah.
I thought this was all kind of a big hype when I saw it on my feed and stuff. It was just like, not in our town.
But
and then we went just for normal stuff, and it was a freaking madhouse there. Yeah. And straight up, 75% of everything in that store was gone.
Yeah.
Only things that nobody cares about is still there.
Right, the good stuff. macaroni and cheese, stuff like that. But the main thing they're getting the toilet paper and the hand sanitizer,
soaps, shampoo.
And my advice for this is, you're not going to get dysentery or the shits from this. But if you run out of toilet paper, take a shit. Use the shower. Just don't shit in the shower.
Take advice from two vets right here.
There you go. Okay.
You don't want to shit for a week? Eat an MRE.
Eat an MRE. But if you have to use the toilet, if you run out of toilet paper, take a shower. Just don't shit in the shower because then you got to waffle stomp it. You don't want to get it. Okay. So the whole thing is
waffles? I'm hungry for waffles now.
If you don't know what that is, just Google it.
Or don't. At least not at work.
Not at work. There's an NSFW moment right there. But so we did see some of the chaos today, and the main thing is it's a hysteria, and I get it. But other than that, yeah. So fun has been canceled. So we'll move on to that.
Fun is canceled, but we still have the fun here. We always bring that fun. But as you know, adulting is hard.
Absolutely.
But we got your back.
Yep.
So for this next segment, we're actually going to try to help you adult a little bit. Like our podcast says, our last podcast, we didn't have too much adulting advice here. So this whole segment is going to be the life hacks that are going to help you get through this.
These are gold.
This is going to help. This is going to help you.
Then there's no help for you.
Right.
Let's put it that way. Okay. If these don't get you moving forward and progressing as an adult, you are screwed.
Right.
Okay. I'm just gonna say it.
But before we get into this, just a quick disclaimer.
There you go.
Warning, do not take any of these life hacks seriously. Do not attempt. This is a satire section, and we are not responsible for any stupid shit you decide to do.
All right. So disclaimer in. Let's go ahead and start with number 10, our life hacks. We have compiled this list off of years of experience, and we guarantee it's going to work. Again, refer back to that disclaimer.
Yes. Always go back to the disclaimer.
So our top 10. Ready? Top 10. Yeah. Sleep in and save. You trying to save some money on meals? If you sleep until noon every day, you can actually skip out on breakfast and cut 1/3 of your grocery list at the same time.
Legit.
Or try sleeping until 5 or 6, and you can forgo lunch too. That's serious. That's serious life hack. That's like $10 a meal.
That's the budgeting advice you can't get even from people like a professional tax or accountant. Accountant's not even going to give you this.
No. I mean,
Legit.
that
sleep.
That's what I'm giving this advice to college students right here.
And this is free.
Yeah, broke ass college students.
Yep, you're broke, and you can't afford the ramen for breakfast. Just sleep in.
Yeah, at least sleep in past the lunch.
There you go.
Yeah,
I mean lunch at least. I mean that saves you a third of your grocery budget, which is if it's ramen, that's $8 a month.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you are a baller and you can afford other things, fine. But if you need to, skip dinner too or lunch.
Lunch. You don't skip dinner. No,
just call it a fasting diet.
Yeah.
Right? Call it financial fasting.
Yeah.
If that's what you got to call it. Okay. All right. So number 9. Okay, we're gonna go this one. This one's gold. I think this works every time. It's
tried it.
I've tried it.
Guaranteed it works.
Yeah, I can say it works, and if not, refer back to the disclaimer. So, anybody who's ever had to deal with a bagel, you know that as you go to try to cut them, they're always slipping and sliding all over the place when you try to cut them, right? And trying to get that even cut so they can go in the toaster evenly. Check this out. Take your finger and stick it in what they call the bagel stabilizer hole. Okay, right in the middle, right there. And then start your cut from top to bottom. Okay? And that will hold it, and you'll get a good even cut. Perfect for the toaster. Remember, bagel stabilization hole.
They put it there for a reason.
They put it there for a reason.
They probably, whoever came up with that idea of the finger stabilizer, millionaire.
Genius.
I wish I did.
Genius. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's so easy. You just stick your finger in there, straight cut down. You're good.
I mean, it's like donut holes.
Like donut holes.
Whoever created the donut hole, I mean, the donuts had the circle in the middle. Whoever took that out and then sold that as a separate donut,
exactly.
Freaking millionaire.
Fuck it. Great financial advice. But yeah, so remember, stabilization hole in the bagel, that's there for a reason.
All right. And so for number 8, I got a little bit of a magic trick for you.
Oh, this is,
right.
Yeah.
So, you know what happens to you on occasion? You go to McDonald's and you order a Diet Coke, but they mess up and they give you a normal Coke. Did you know, actually, on the top of the lid, there's these little buttons. It says, most of them say Coke, Diet Coke, or root beer. Or I think some of them say
tea,
other, Sprite, tea, whatever it says.
Choices on there.
So you don't like what they gave you, like Coke? You're like, I'm on a diet. I can't eat the sugar. Just hit that little button. Hit the diet button.
Push it all the way down.
Boom.
Make sure you push it down.
Boom.
Boom. Diet
Sugar
Coke.
gone. Sugar gone. It is now a diet soda.
Yep. You want tea? Hit the tea button. Boom.
Boom.
Tea.
Yeah.
There
No
you go.
sugar.
No
I
sugar.
mean, that's unsweetened tea right there.
I think that it's great that they give you those options, actually. I mean, so you can't really accuse them of making a mistake because once they put whatever in the cup, you have the freedom to change it. America. Freedom. Right?
That's fucking freedom
That's
right there.
freedom to the T.
Liberty.
Is there tea in freedom? No.
Is there tea? But there is iced tea with freedom.
There's a tea and iced tea.
Yeah.
So remember that, folks. If they don't go back and yell at them, just push the button and change it. Okay? Take responsibility.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Number 7. If you are a parent, maybe single parent, or even you got both parents in the house and you have a young child coming up on their birthday, we'll say 4 years and under, right? But you're broke and you're strapped on cash. The easiest fix for this is just don't tell them it's her birthday.
Simple as that.
Simple. It's
Simple.
over. You save on cake. You don't have to worry about the presents, party surprises, inviting people, and most of all, you don't have to deal with a drunk party clown.
Well, you know how that usually goes.
Oh, yeah.
Drunk party clowns. Nobody likes clowns to begin with.
Yeah.
And for
then
one
when
to
you get
show
the
up,
uncle who says, "I will do
then
it
you're like,
for you."
holy shit! I thought John Wayne Gacy was dead.
Yep.
And why is he
And
in
pretty
my
much
house?
Pennywise has ruined it for every child now. But yeah, just don't tell them they have a birthday coming up. They won't know, right?
I mean, think of all the money you're going to save.
yeah. And if you
No, you
feel
don't.
bad, if you feel guilty, just make it up to them at tax, during tax season.
Yeah,
when they
if
go
you feel
live,
like telling them.
and just tell them it's because of good grades. Just don't remind them they had a birthday last year you skipped.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, just
Because therapy's expensive.
yeah. But what's more expensive is like cake, presents, parties.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Invite a bunch of kids you don't like over.
Yeah.
That probably brings
Who the hell needs it?
coronavirus.
Yeah. Brings over their parents
Yeah.
who you can't stand
Yep.
because they're like Patriots fans or something.
Oh, even worse. Yeah.
You don't want
No, it
them
can't
in-
get worse than that, actually.
You don't want a Patriots fan
And
in
then
your
on
house.
about Brady, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, just if they're like 4 and under, don't let them know they have a birthday.
Exactly.
Yeah. They'll forgive you.
All right. So number 6, this is going to save you if you live in a big city, especially, or you got, ticket happy cops there.
And especially where
Right.
parking is hard to fly.
Yeah. So don't park in handicap spots, don't park in red curb, don't double park, yada, yada, go on. So just save yourself the worry. All you got to do, put those windshield wipers up because parking enforcement can't put a ticket on your windshield.
Exactly.
They can't ticket you.
If the windshield wiper is up, they can't put the ticket under. That doesn't close the deal.
Yeah. I think it was a law. It was like statute 24D
0.6 something suck.
paragraph 7 or something
There you
like
go.
that.
Yeah.
If they cannot attach the parking ticket to your vehicle,
Yep.
you cannot get that
So
parking
put your
ticket.
windshield wipers up.
Throw those windshield wipers up.
Exactly. Done.
And I'm actually going to tag onto this one. It doesn't have to do with this, but it has to do with your car. If your car is making noises and you don't like it, like a check engine light comes on, you can hear the rattling in it. You know what you got to do? Just turn that radio on
Turn
up.
the volume up.
Yeah, you won't hear those noises
Ignore it.
anymore.
Ignore it.
Ignore it.
It'll go away.
I mean, I had that Jeep that
Oh,
had
yeah.
the transmission issue.
But the more you turn the volume up,
The more I
less
turn
you
the more I turn it up, the less I heard the transmission screwing up.
hear. Exactly.
For me, solid advice.
I think it's solid advice. Just put the windshield wipers up. They can't leave a ticket. They'll be angry, but you know what? That's your right as an American. Freedom. Remember?
America.
Freedom. You can change the drink that's in the cup. See the freedoms that are out there for you folks. You just don't get it.
Yeah, you just got to be willing to find them and grab them.
And try it.
Freedoms are there.
Just try it.
They're there for the taking.
Don't be afraid. Just try it.
Don't be afraid.
All right, so we're here at number 5 here. This works really well. So again, not a lot of money. Maybe you go out and you go get a meal and you don't like the service and you're deciding, hey, I'm not going to come back here again, but I really didn't want to spend the, say, $23.35 on this meal. So when the bill comes, it gives you your total and there's a tip line. Just leave a negative tip. So if the bill is $23.35, just put negative $23.35 for the tip. Math.
$23.35 minus $23.35
Is
means free meal.
Free meal. Put it on there.
$0.
You're done.
Yep.
See, look at it.
But be warned, you can only do this like 2 or 3 times. It's like going to the casino and winning too much. They figure it out and they don't let you in.
Yeah,
it's not illegal.
it's
They
like-
just don't let you do
it's
it
like counting
anymore.
cards. They'll just blackball
So
you.
you're gonna walk into a restaurant and be like, we know that guy.
We know that- we know,
We're
yeah.
not gonna get any money out of him. So
And
scram.
so the money you save on any of these things right here, feel free to send to the Venmo in the description so we can
Yeah.
increase our budget.
That $23.35.
That's
Venmo.
our next budget. That's our ad.
Yeah.
That's our
Or at least
budget.
half of it. Send
So
half
if
of
we
that
save
to
you
us.
money, you're more than welcome out of pity or generosity to send it to us. We appreciate that. To the tens of thousands of listeners
Yeah.
out there, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so
I
continue on. They're number 4.
All right, so we're at number 4. So when you go to move, or you're going to set up that entertainment system that you have downstairs, or whatever it may be,
Like
you
the
go to
Christmas
get it. You go to
lights.
Christmas lights,
Christmas lights.
and you get all these tangled cords. All you got to do, real simple. You don't spend hours sitting there trying to get those rat nets apart. Go to the store. I'll tell you this real quick. It's like $2, $2 fix here. Go to the store, buy some detangler. All you got to do, spray that bitch down. Boom.
Oh, like magic.
Detangled.
Like magic. Like that. I mean, we've
Like it's no thing.
We've seen what it does for hair, but yeah, you just go to the beauty section there and say, I need some heavy duty detangler. You spray it on there, and they will straighten themselves out. And Christmas is now stress free.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I didn't believe it, and then I tried it.
Yeah, we had all those extension cords earlier, and look at what it worked.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're flat.
They're flat. They're laid
They're
out.
flat. They're untangled.
Again, legit. So you don't have to go out and buy new cords. Again, the money you save on that buying new cords, you can send to the Venmo in the description down there, and increase our budget for production. And we appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, see. All right, number 3. Anybody out there who is a ice cream fan has had this happen before? You get a pint of ice cream, you put it in the freezer. Just for a couple days, your freezer evidently works too well. You go to get it out. You get the spoon. You go to scoop it. The spoon bends because
It's like
it's
freaking
frozen
rock.
solid.
Yeah.
So here is a hack for that. What you do is you take the spoon and you microwave it for like 30 seconds. And when you take that out, that spoon will cut through that ice cream like a pro shop, like they do in the ice cream shops. You just microwave it for 30 seconds, cuts right through it, boom, you're eating your ice
No
cream.
big deal. Yeah.
Done. Wow.
And you have a nice little scoop.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's a
perfect.
perfect scoop.
Right through it, like a heated blade going through butter.
Yeah.
Try
I mean,
that one. We've tried it
actually a couple minutes ago.
a couple minutes ago. Yeah, we had
And
some
during
great
our break.
worked great. Again, refer to the disclaimer, but it worked great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I guarantee it.
Yeah, guarantee it. But
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Okay.
So, number 2, dress for the weight that you want, not the weight that you are.
Right. This goes to self-esteem.
Yeah. I mean, body shaming is a real thing. I mean, discrimination based on body size
Your dog
happens
is from the
every
big fat
day.
Fart.
No, I
Oh,
think she was
so-
sighing
okay.
over there. She's pretty a vocal dog.
No, I thought she just ripped a fatty.
But anyway,
Dress
so
for the way you want, exactly.
so you want to get rid of that body shaming. You
Yep.
want people to look at you in a different perspective.
Yep.
Don't go to the doctor and get the stomach stapling. Don't go on those expensive diet
Don't buy
pills.
3 exercise clothes.
Yeah, you don't need to go to the gym 6 times a
Do you
week.
want to wear
That's
a
stupid.
tube top and show off what you got? Like you said,
Do it.
dress for the weight that you want, not the weight that you have.
Yeah.
That's it.
You want to be a smaller size? Buy that schmedium. You're a smaller
Schmediums
size.
all day long. And if
Schmediums
anybody
all day
has
long.
any- It's 2020. Anybody has anything to say about that? Just tell them you have a lawyer.
It's 2020, you bigot.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy. You're
bigot.
canceled.
Yeah, you're canceled. Exactly. Like the coronavirus coming around, it's going to get you. Tell them you got a lawyer, and if you want to wear a schmedium, 3 buttons on only, you do it.
Yeah.
That's freedom again. That's taking back the power. That's your self-esteem. See,
All right.
These are freedoms you have. Take advantage of them.
All right, Ken. What is our number 1 life hack that we
Number
came
one
up
life hack.
with?
This is one of the easiest ones. You hear a lot of people talking about having bad days, and the day hasn't gone well from the beginning. So if you're having a shitty day, simply put on some sunglasses. Now you're just having a shitty evening.
Easy.
Straightforward.
Fucking.
It's like time travel.
Your time travel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. You're having a shitty day. Sun you up with some sunglasses on. You have a shitty evening.
Back to the
It's
future.
over. Yeah, there you go. Shit.
Just straight
Well,
up.
not really back to. Yeah. So go back.
Can you go back to the future?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you go forward to the past?
Well, kind of. Yeah. So if we're talking the paradoxical attempt at time travel, it just works.
Pretty much just skip the whole damn day
Yeah.
and get to the night.
Put the sunglasses on, call it a day, say fuck it, go home.
Yeah,
Look at
well, call it a night.
Well, call it a night. Yeah, sorry, call it a night. Call it a night. Look at it, and then it saves you time right there. And the boss is like, "Where are you going?" Go, look, I'm done. I had a shitty day. I just turned into a shitty evening. I'm going home, drinking some box wine, and taking a bath, and probably a Valium, and going to sleep.
Yeah.
Again, go back to the disclaimer before this, but it should work.
All right. And before we go on a break, I just want to throw you a quick bone. We're going to give you a bonus.
Oh, bonus
Life hack.
Bonus
Life hack.
These are great.
All right. This actually works as long as you got room in your freezer.
Yes. Oh, yes.
All right,
yes
as long
yes,
as you got
yes.
room in the freezer.
This is a great one.
So
for those chefs out there.
for the chefs, yeah. So boiling water obviously takes a long time to do, especially if you got a lot of it. So here's a life hack for you. Get a couple gallon baggies out for as much as you need.
For the week.
Right?
Do
For
it
the week. Yeah, if you cook every night, if you boil water every night for for spaghetti or for whatever it may be, vegetables, whatever. Set out that amount for the week. Boil a big pot of water. All you got to do, so you don't have to redo that step of boiling water every time, boil that water, pour it into those 7 baggies, throw it in the freezer.
Yep.
Now you got your
1
boiling
gallon
water.
bags, freeze it, and you got your pre-boiled water ready for next time.
That easy.
I mean,
I just saved you 30 minutes a day.
Look at that. 30 minutes at a time. Then you go back to drinking the box wine, taking a bath early. From your shitty day.
Snort value. Whatever you do.
We got your bag.
Hey.
These are life.
Here at adulting is hard. That's what we're here for. Is we're here to get your back. We're here to make it from hard to not as hard.
Exactly. We're not gonna say it's easy for you.
What's a step below hard? I don't really know. What's a step before like it's okay and it's difficult?
Well, we don't want to coddle. We just
yeah.
want to help.
We
But
just
we
wanna
can't hold your hand the whole time. But we
Yeah,
can
you're gonna have to do this shit for yourself. We've already done it for ourselves.
That's exactly. But for free, in a sense, we pass it along unless you want to pay us for this advice. Again, the Venmo in the description.
Yeah.
But this
Little
is
side
free.
note,
This is
out of
free.
all this money that you save, if you want to throw us a bone, because we just threw you 11 bones, you want to throw us just 1 bone, head on over to our page. You'll see our Venmo.
Yep.
Send a couple bucks there.
This
it's going to help it.
This, and we will, from there, we will practice more life hacks and we'll pass them on to you.
Yes. And I promise only a portion of that will go to alcohol.
Yeah,
but that's because I need coping from the rest of the day.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how we cope with the hard part of adulting.
Yeah.
It's either days
because I usually, as our life hack number 1 says, I usually drink and put some sunglasses on from the shitty day.
There you go. So from 1 to 10 there, exactly. So,
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys, we're going to head to one more break and we'll be back with our final segments. All right?
Now sit. Hey guys, as you know, adulting can be hard, and that's why we have this podcast. Every once in a while, we need a break from responsibility. One way we both do that is slaying enemies, shooting dicks, and smoking noobs while streaming live on Twitch. If you're a gamer, looking for some extra entertainment, or just in need of some additional laughs, stop by our Twitch channel. You would go to evilpoptartsupremeleader.twitch.tv to watch us, and like everything else, fail at gaming. We might fail a lot, but we have one hell of a time and would love for you to join us. But wait, we do it in style because we're rocking gear from Bosk Apparel. If you're looking to take your streaming to the next level or you're just wanting to support us, check out my boy Jay Groove at boskapparel.com for everything you need, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, vinyl stickers, emotes, graphic designs, and a whole lot more at hard-to-beat pricing and some of the best customer support you can ever receive. That's Bosk Apparel, BOSQUEAPPAREL.com, and search Evil Pop-Tart Supreme Leader for our channel's merchandise, or just to browse the many other items he has there. You can also contact Jay Groove directly on Twitter at JayGrooveTV. We hope to see you at our next stream.
Guys, welcome back. Hope you had a good little break. You had you had an ice cream. You tried the whole spoon in the microwave and got some good ice cream.
Have a milkshake by now with that.
Well, yeah, or something.
Yeah, I mean, you should have dessert already prepared, and then water boiled and bagged and ready for next week.
Yeah, and all that time that you just saved.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into our next section. This next section is called Things Ken Don't Care About.
Yeah, this is the shit I don't care about right here.
So,
and the list could be 1,000 long, but I'm only going to hit on a few key points because it's not that I'm a hater. I'm just semi-pessimistic, and these are everyday things I come across. I just don't care for.
So we were conversing the other day, and we were going over the things that kind of really get under our skin, and frankly, we don't give two shits about.
Yeah, zero fucks.
And zero fucks are given on most of this stuff. So we decided, you know what? let's make a segment. That way, because adulting is hard, let's make it a little easier by not having to bug me with all this stupid shit.
Yes, and these are skills that other people can practice.
Yes.
So if you're afraid to tell somebody that you don't care about something, I am going to help you to encourage to that moment not to be an asshole, but to be truthful. And if they think you're an asshole, who cares, right?
Yeah.
All right, because you're just being truthful. And so these are some of the things here that I don't care about, or just actually, just don't give a shit about. Let's start with the main one. This is the big one. Social media. Okay, and now I know we are on social media. We've got Twitter accounts, Facebook. We're doing this as part of this high value production with the tens of thousands of listeners that we have. Okay, we have to do this to stay in the loop.
Well, let's get this straight. It's not social media as a whole.
Yes.
What is it about social
specific
media?
Things. First of all, pictures of your food. Okay.
Oh my God.
That drives me batshit crazy. I don't care. Okay. Because if you want to send me a picture of your appetizer platter from Applebee's,
where you got to stand up on the
table
fucking booth.
For your Instagram account, I don't care.
You got to adjust the lighting and you put the special effects in there.
Don't care. All right. Now, like if you're going to take pictures of your $40 gluten-free vegan quiche that you ate in the Mediterranean, someplace I'll never go to, again, I don't care.
I don't care what you had for dinner tonight.
Because I'm not sending you pictures of the deep-fried microwave bean burritos I got from the frozen section at the supermarket and then trying to act like there's some gourmet food. Because I'm pretty sure you don't give a shit either.
No.
So we'll just not care.
Let's not care about what each other are eating.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So after pictures of food, it's the other thing is I really don't care about is social media influencers. If you tell me that is your career and that is your job, you're a social media influencer, you better be able to prove to me what you're influencing. And you're not going to be able to by taking pictures of your food, post pictures on the beach, right? Tell me what hotel you stayed at.
Checking in every fucking store that you go into.
Yeah. Just went and bought a fake Prada bag downtown Los Angeles in the clothing district. You know what I'm talking about down there.
Don't care.
Just don't give a shit. Okay. Positivity quotes. Now, this is not to take away from people wanting to be positive.
Not at all.
If the first 30 things I read on any of the social media feeds is positivity quotes.
Remember, you're a star. You're an angel of God.
Or take today, by the horn and blah, blah, blah. And if it's 7:30 in the morning, the day hasn't even fucking started and you're this positive, either you've already drank your box wine from earlier or you're just bullshitting me. I like to see the positive quotes are fine. I like to see the realest ones. The people that go, today can eat a bag of dicks.
Yeah.
And I'm done. 4 o'clock, I'm going to fucking bed.
Building on that, not too much of the negativity. Not too much negativity where every single post is, my life sucks, I'm a victim.
Exactly. But if you hit me with 30 positivity quotes in a row, it's probably going to make me angry and ruin my day. So I don't care. All right? And then the other thing is vacation photos. That's the other one. Like if you've ever been at work and someone goes on vacation and while they're on vacation, you covered their shifts, you did all this work, and they come back and they hand you their phone and they say, just start swiping through the photos like you're supposed to give a shit about their cruise or wherever they went. I don't care. Okay.
Because in the back of your head, you're like, you son of a bitch, I hope you got coronavirus.
Well, to me, I'm looking at it going, yay, it's another picture. Okay, so you're on a cruise. There's the free booze. There you're at a slot machine. There you're on a beach that I can't even
You know what I did? I filed fucking paperwork all day.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Oh, there you are smiling with your friends with a margarita in your hand. All this shit. People I don't know. Places I've never been.
Don't care. Don't care.
Just keep swiping until you find the nudes. You're hoping.
You got too far back.
Sometimes if they say don't swipe left when they tell you the first thing
you swipe
left. Yeah.
Obviously, you swipe left.
If
like, I thought swiping left means left or right.
Left or right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which left?
I didn't know you were into that, but this is much more interesting than your vacation photos. So I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay. Other things is too much information. That's the other one. If you people you may have known for a long time, or my favorite part is getting a new job in the first day that you're working with somebody and they literally treat you like they're a therapist. Okay? Too much information, right? They just tell you all kinds of shit about their divorces, about how fucked up their kids are, or all these things that happen.
Mortgage payments, taxes are due.
I'm about to lose my house. I get beat by my child, whatever it may be. I'm looking at you going, aren't you supposed to be training me to do my job? I don't care. Okay. I don't care. That is as simple as that. I mean, I'm sorry. I guess I'm empathetic towards it or sympathetic, but in the end, I don't care because this is really weird. The fact that you just met me and you're telling me these things because I'm probably going to use them against you later.
Yeah.
When I tried to throw you under the bus to get your job. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. The other thing I don't care about, though, I know this is your section, but I hate pet pictures
Yes.
on social media.
Yes.
I mean, I don't hate pets. I have my own dog. She's
Yes.
laying
Yeah,
right
that's
there
the
next
producer
to
of
us,
our show right
and
there,
she's
Elsa.
beautiful.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna go and post 1,000 pictures of your dog.
Yes.
I don't give two shits about your dog.
Yes.
Your dog's cool, whatever. I don't need to see it every fucking day.
Yes.
Going down my strip, like, oh look, he's looking at me funny in that. Oh look how he thinks he's a human.
Or
like,
how they're sleeping. You're like, wow, you took a picture of your dog sleeping, and you were 20 minutes late to work this morning. Let's talk about that.
yeah, right.
Right. I set the timestamp when you took the picture of your dog.
I mean, I'm sure there's people who do care about all your posts. I'm not one of them.
I mean, the first couple times it's great. I seen your dog, cute looking dog, whatever. Some dogs are ugly. I'll tell you that too. Yeah, you got an ugly dog, but that's what makes it unique. But for the next year, I don't need to see pictures of your dog or your pets all the damn time.
Nope.
That's it. I mean, I get it. You got a dog or a cat. So do I. Right? I don't care. Okay, so the next thing is reality TV shows. Fuck all that. Reality TV shows are the
reality sucks already.
Well, the fact is that they're the scourge of anything now because The Bachelor, The Voice, America's Got Talent. I mean, what's okay, but everything reality based we know is a lie on the TV shows. Okay,
it's all scripted.
So then every time I get into a new show on, like, say, Fox or one of these channels, right, and I get into it, it gets beat in the ratings by some dipshit show like Love Island, Naked and Afraid, which just sounds like a drunken uncle chasing around the house, and it's just really creepy. Whatever. Reality TV can just fuck off, and I'm over it. The next thing I don't care about are your life stories. If I don't literally know you longer than the moment I met you, say the last hour, the new job, the first day of school, right?
We actually have a story. We were just talking about when we were coming up with this segment.
Yeah.
We're going through life stories, and we talked about this. And then during one of our breaks in between production, we headed over to the store.
Yep.
So we have.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. So we go to the store. We've got our monsters and we got our stuff. We go up to the counter, and it's a nice day out. This is yesterday, so it's sunny out. And the lady makes small talk, says, "How's it going?" That's fine. As the cashier, things are going great. Looks like we got some rain coming in this weekend. And this is where we thought we had lost time, like it stopped. We skipped time, something, because she replied with
Maybe not time, but actually like brain.
Yeah, so she replies with, after we say it looks like rain.
Straight up, this is what she replied with.
"Quote unquote, I don't think it's going to rain because I died twice before 29.
And we look at each other,
like,
kind of chuckle, thinking, "Is she joking?"
Yeah, and literally, I thought, like, we haven't been drinking, we haven't done any drugs. So what happened? And that was her reply to it. And then
we're like, okay.
And then of course I take the bait, and I'm like, "Oh, what happened?" And she tells us how she wrecked her Camaro and all this stuff. And I take the bait even more. I'm like, "How fast were you going?" She says 30 miles per hour. And so I'm still trying to relate this to how it's going to rain. Is this one of those, my knees aching, so the storm's coming? That's all she had to say, is that and she goes, no, remember, I died twice before 29 and I'm 60. That's what she said.
Yeah, like, I don't know how.
We had no idea how that. So when I say,
and it's funny because it rained today, so she was dead wrong, all day, even though she was dead twice before 29.
Before 29. So she was absolutely wrong. And so life stories. I don't care about your exes. I don't care about your drama.
Baby mamas.
Baby mama drama, excuses, bullshit like that. I don't care, because if you won't hear me telling you about mine, because I'm going to assume that you don't care. Plus, I don't have the energy to waste telling you about mine, and I don't want to hear yours. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorite ones. Even as phones have gotten better with technology, right? But I don't want to see recorded videos of concerts that you went to.
No,
if anybody
it's like the worst thing.
If anybody has seen this, is where somebody goes, "Check this out. I went to this Metallica concert or whatever back in the day," and they show you these videos, and all it sounds like, that's it. And then one time you hear someone go, "Woo!" Right? And
it's the person recording
it, and it just sounds like absolute shit. You can't see anything because they're in the back seats, and you're supposed to sit
like,
there
what
going,
am I supposed to say to that?
Yeah, you usually just look at it and go, "Wow, that."
Yeah, they looks like they put on a great show.
Put on a great show. I don't know what the fuck is going on right now at your show, so I can't.
Grainy, distorted video.
Yeah, recorded videos of concerts. No. Okay, and then the last one, and I don't understand this, and I don't get it, and I don't care, is when people say being woke. I don't get it.
Yeah.
being woke. When someone says you're woke or stay woke,
Woke scold.
yeah, whatever. I don't care if you in some way think that because you feel woke.
It's all about PC culture. It's all about cancel culture.
There it is.
It's all puffing the chest out saying, oh, look how good I am because I did this and you are less than I because you don't think this way or
so I'm woke,
you said something.
Yeah.
I'm better than you.
I don't care.
I don't care.
That's the thing.
We know that's not the truth.
Yeah, even if it's something that I don't know about, I still don't care.
It's only people with small dicks who actually do that.
Big truck, small dicks.
Did you know that?
Big truck, small dicks.
And hipsters. Hipsters also do that.
Any hipsters that are listeners, sorry, but I don't care. Straight up. All right.
And last one. I actually want to throw in one of my pet peeves. Your sex life.
Oh God.
I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't care how many chicks you bagged. I don't care who the last one you bagged.
Fucking conversations they have, especially at work when someone talk about their sex life.
Like, what am I supposed to say? Cool, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you hit that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then when you see the person that they're talking about, and you're like,
is it behind that person?
Yeah, because when they're like, that's my partner, whatever, and you're just like, that is the most unattractive thing I would not smash on. That's gross. And even if they were hot or whatever, I still don't care. Because if I'm at work or at home, I don't give a shit. I'd rather punch myself in the face.
Like, are you trying to make me feel better about your sex life? Or are you trying to just show me how cool you are?
I'm assuming that they're trying to validate.
I don't really know what it is.
Existing sex life that they are making up with their internet model who's on world travel all the time.
Or their hand, their name's Stella.
Exactly. Just if you're beating it like it owes you money, just say I spent the night baiting. Okay, that's better than tell me that you're banging whatever. I don't care. So that's it. Those are a few things I don't give a shit about. And people I know are listening to us are going to say, well, who cares what you think? Well, it's my show and Kyle's show.
True. So you're listening because you do care what we think about, obviously.
And if you don't,
send us an email and let us know.
There you go.
Probably go right to the dumpster, right?
Well,
fuck it, at least you know how to reach us. Yeah.
Just read the subject.
Permo block.
With the subject's in all caps and right to the spam.
All right, guys.
Or let us know what you don't care about. Okay.
So we got one final segment, and you know exactly what this segment is. Bring it on in, Logan.
Florida Man.
All right, guys. So you know the Florida Man segment is coming.
Florida Man.
Every single podcast, we will be bringing you a unique Florida Man.
We could probably do 3 hours on.
Easily. We could actually have a podcast named Florida Man, and just talk about Florida Man.
Do, but so Florida Man. Bring it up for me, thank you. I got to quit eating on. My producer keeps telling me not to chew.
Yeah, because you sound like a fat ass. I mean, you are, but
it's beef jerky.
All right, so this Florida Man, as we said, it's easy to find these Florida Man articles. All you got to do is go to Google, type in Florida Man, and type in any date. Good one, type in your birthday.
There you go.
Florida Man, and then your birthday.
Yeah,
and you'll come up with some great
so
article.
we're not biased. It's Florida men, Florida woman, whatever, but it almost 99% of the time it is Florida man or men. For some reason. And like I said before, it's 30% genetics, 80% bath salts. Okay?
I mean,
math it. Okay? Math that shit, all right? That's Florida. Okay, again, it's where old people go to die. Elections get fucked up. Okay?
And people do some crazy ass shit.
Crazy ass shit, and some great stories come out of it. So this one we got right here, it is Florida men. So we actually, it's plural, this is a
double.
Team.
You're welcome. That's 2 for 1.
It's a 2 for 1.
Saving you more.
Saving you more right there. So you can
go ahead and throw some more at Venmo.
Venmo, and the link's in the description. There you go. So Florida men, and check this out, one dressed in a bull onesie. So picture this, folks. A onesie on a grown man. And it's a bull. Okay? So almost like a mascot, all right? But probably, if it wasn't a bull, I'd think the udder in the front, but the bull doesn't have it. So
that's a cow.
No, that's a cow, right?
You don't want to milk a bull.
Never milk a bull. So a Florida man, one dressed in a bull onesie, attempt to burn down a house with ragu sauce.
Because apparently Prego wasn't good enough for him.
Exactly. So remember, this is 2 people committing a robbery and a burglary, one dressed in a onesie of a bull, and their attempt, and we'll get into the description of this, tried to burn down the house using ragu spaghetti sauce.
I mean, that's great. This sounds like something that is fake, But these in no way are fake. These are legit. We can send you the link. I mean, this is Fox News right here.
Well, and if it says Florida, there's nothing I've read out of Florida, even from the Onion or
Even the Onion's probably.
It's still it's believable because it's Florida. Okay, so 2 Florida men were caught with their hands in the pasta jar. Yeah, funny guy. After they used ragu sauce to try and burn down a home they robbed last week. Derek Irving, 36, and John Silva, 28, were arrested March 13th after allegedly breaking into a home in Deland and stealing a flat-screen television and air conditioning wall unit. The man whose home was being burglarized received an alert on his phone from his residence security system, probably the Ring, right? That's the most popular one now, the Ring.
You want to sponsor us? We got a
Ring.
plug for you.
Yeah, we'll shoot that out.
Ring, you listening?
Yeah, great surveillance for the government.
I mean, what?
What?
Don't get offended.
Yeah.
Don't cancel us.
CIA can say what? So the security system informing him of motion being detected in the house, according to the county sheriff's office. I love how they give a picture of 3
jars of ragu sauce, meat flavored, by the way.
Meat flavored to prove the point. These fucked up ragu.
At least they weren't vegans.
So a towel was placed over the camera, which gave him a clue, evidently, that something was not right, and he immediately called the police. So this man is sharp. Okay, that owns his house.
As a tack.
Yeah.
Adult tack.
Yeah, that's an adult heck. Yeah, throw the cloth over the security camera, they can't bust you.
Yep.
So when police arrived at the home, they saw a red SUV trying to flee the residence, authorities said. The 2 suspects told officers they were picking up clothes from the house. The victim told WKMC TV that Irving was donning a bull onesie. So again, picture this man in a
pajamas. One-piece pajamas.
And the other
with the hoodie.
Yes.
But that hoodie is a bullhead.
Okay. And so the deputy said there was an air conditioning unit, a vacuum. What is it with tweakers and shit still in vacuums? A television,
Don't
heater.
disturb me when I'm cleaning my room.
Exactly. I'm trying to vacuum my room. So a television, a heater, a marijuana grinder, and an empty jar of ragu sauce inside the vehicle. This is where it gets crazy because I'm not worried about the marijuana grinder and all that. It's the empty jar of ragu. Okay. So
why the ragu sauce, you say?
Here we go. So as you ask, why? The deputies found the burning pot of ragu sauce and a washcloth near the stove's burner, which appeared to be an attempt to start a fire and burn down the house.
These guys are fucking... Why aren't they working at MIT?
That's some special odd shit.
Why are they not working at MIT?
Right?
Just tell me right now. I need to know.
I'm thinking because...
Why aren't they at SOCOM headquarters?
They're too... they're too high skilled for MIT. They're too high skilled for the CIA.
You just gotta stick to...
These guys work off the books. They work off the books.
Yeah.
Okay, these are the guys you don't know about. They come and get you dressed in a bull's onesie and burn your house down with ragu sauce, and then when the forensic team comes in, they just sit around going, "We have no idea what the fuck happened."
We put a rag over the security camera. You didn't see us.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? I mean, the guy burned. Yeah. So this is it. So deputies found the burning pot of ragu sauce in a washcloth. Okay. Yeah. I said they tried to start fire. And this is a quote from the victim. He was trying to make it look like I left the stove on, but who gets up at 2 a.m. and fixes sketty? Not spaghetti.
Sketty.
So this is where it gets weird because this victim's just he's like defending him. He's like, who gets up at 2 a.m. and makes sketty? A lot of people do. Okay, mostly on Ambien or other drugs, but people do. Okay,
bath salts.
Okay, yeah, I forget pretty much bath salts. So it started out, and this is where it just takes a jump. This is again from the victim. It started out as a relationship that lasted about a week. So between him, the guy in the bull onesie, and the other guy with the multicolored hair that was out there. Okay. I've let them use my car for 4 months, which in our experience and through my life, I use it. It means that he traded the vehicle for drugs and let them use it. You got to go back up. Where'd you go? Oh, okay. It's right there. So I've let them use my car for 4 months. Maybe he's angry about that. Makes no sense in that statement. I'm assuming that he traded.
He wanted it for 5 months.
He let him use his car for drug trade. I'm going to tell you right now. Or maybe he's angry because I gave him $150 to fix his teeth. No, go back up to the booking.
It cost me $1,500.
No, go back up to the booking photo. And okay, so neither one's smiling. And
I'm thinking it's the guy on the left who needs. I mean, look at his smile.
Well, the guy on the left is the one that was in the onesie, right?
True.
Yeah, so maybe so he's upset that so this is where it doesn't make sense. So it was based on a previous relationship, and he let them borrow the car, but only for 4 months. But
Give him $150 to fix his teeth. bro, your teeth fucked.
It's not even.
Here's
So
150 bucks.
they came back and robbed him and tried to burn his house down with sketty sauce. Okay, so me, I'm not a detective or anything, but here's what I'm going to say probably happened. He loaned his car out in trade for drugs. Okay, then asked for his car back. Give him 150 bucks to go get some crack or bath salts or whatever.
You know,
And-
toothpaste.
All right, toothpaste. They robbed him wearing a bull onesie.
Because they're mad.
Yeah,
Because they need,
because they're mad because he lent them the car and gave him 150 bucks to fix his teeth.
But seriously, who makes sketty at 2 a.m.?
Crackheads. Or people who are fucking hungry.
Yeah.
Right? So there's your Florida man, and if you get a chance, just Google Florida man and then bull onesie, and you'll get to see the profile pictures of these two.
It's pretty great.
Right here, I think it's great. I think there's more to that story that is being told, but I think these guys
couldn't fill a year straight talking of Florida man. I mean, it's just
these guys are on
there's so
another
many.
level, though. Like I said, these guys work off the books. These are the guys. These are not just cleaners. These are guys who call in to make shit disappear. But they fucked up this side.
Like spaghetti sauce.
Spaghetti sauce.
Spaghetti sauce.
Shout out to Ragu.
Shout Ragu. We need it. We just plugged your ass. All right, guys. Thank you again for joining us. This has been freaking awesome.
Yep.
We love doing this with you guys. We just want to make your lives a little bit better because we know adulting is hard. So you stick with us, you will get nothing but the best advice in the world to help you save a little money, to help you save a little stress in your life. You know, sleep in, don't pay for that breakfast burrito.
It's
I mean,
common sense. You just miss breakfast, you ain't got to pay for it, right? And
it's
we're gonna
simple
try and
things
give you
like
some
that.
laughs. We'll give you some things to think about. And again, you have our links, which were posted during the break for contact. One
can
of
find
you,
us-
many of thousands of viewers that we have right now, listeners, has to reach out to us. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Right?
Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. Both of those are @isadulting. You can also find us on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Acast. All those things you can find us. Or you can shoot us over an email at podcast.adultingishard@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Podcast.adultingishard@gmail.com.
We made it
We're
easy
making
for you.
this shit easy because adulting is hard. We need to make it a
You
little
can get
bit
hold of us.
easier
You
for
can
you.
yell at us if I see the titles in all caps. I'm gonna expect you to be angry. Maybe you're just super excited. I don't know.
Give us a laugh.
Give us a
The
laugh.
angrier you are, the
Yeah.
more we're going to
Tell
laugh
me
at
if I
it. So
offended you, because I don't care.
that's
Put that
kind of
on
what
the
we're
list.
going for, no?
Well, kind of. I mean, some offensive part, some make them laugh, or maybe get them to think, are they offending me or not?
Still don't care. That's
Yeah,
going into
yeah,
things you
yeah.
don't care about.
Yeah,
The
so
emails
I mean-
you, things Tim's don't care about. Emails you send us.
Yeah, exactly. I will read them and I will mock them, and I may or may not reply.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us on this long tour through adulting. We hope to see you next time. But until then, take it sleazy.
Super sleazy and cheap.
All right, guys.
Have a good one.